Chapter 1591. Unstable situation. Lin Feng stretched out his hand and threw his talisman in the direction of the emperor from the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness. That emperor spat out golden holy chi at the talisman. He was pushing back the talisman's power, but then he realized that he was surrounded by talismans on all sides. He released even more golden holy chi in a wave around him, causing some of the talismans to break. However, these talismans didn't release demon fire like the first. Instead, an illusion appeared and trapped the emperor inside. "Break!" shouted the emperor furiously. This time he used sharp sword lights to break the illusion deployment spell and the talismans inside. "Be careful!" shouted Zhou Tianmu and Di Xiu, both of whom were already far away. "Activate," said Lin Feng, releasing more demon and fire strength, not giving the emperor even a second break. How cruel, thought the crowd. Lin Feng had directly thrown 20 to 30 talismans at the emperor. Each talisman could kill a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer. Talismans were not like deployment spells in that they break after they release their strength. To anyone besides Lin Feng, using all those talismans was a complete waste. A horrible shriek sounded. That shriek came from the emperor. Even though he had a powerful physical body, it was difficult for him to resist that demon fire. The illusion finally broke apart, allowing the crowd to see the emperor again. But it was worse than they could have imagined, as he was consumed in demon flames. His legs were gone, and he was looking desperate. He shook his hands, wanting to release cosmic energies, but he realized he couldn't. "I should make my spirit leave my physical body. At least that way it won't be as bad as dying." Fuck, thought the emperor. His body gradually turned into nothingness, as a terrifying cosmic strength dashed to the skies. Then he died, and his cosmic energies dispersed. What a scary person. It's no wonder he refused my invitation, thought Jin Shenjun. He was even more enthusiastic after seeing that sick-looking young man's strength. He had killed an emperor only using deployment spells, even though he had only broken through to the 8th Zun Qi layer. Di Xiu, Zhou Tianmu, and the other members from the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness looked crushed. Their emperor was dead. Escape! Zhou Tianmu suddenly started running away. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes and smiled evilly. "Did I say you could leave?" Zhou Tianmu was petrified, but he still stopped. Lin Feng could kill him whether he ran or not. Zhou Tianmu looked just like Zhou Tianshao and Zhou Tianrua. He was also a direct descendant of the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness. He had enough influence to make an emperor come. Considering all of this, he was probably Zhou Tianrua's little brother. Of course, Lin Feng wasn't going to kill Zhou Tianmu, because he was just a nobody. Even Zhou Tianrua was a nobody in Lin Feng's eyes, and Lin Feng didn't feel like wasting time with nobodies. Lin Feng only wanted to kill Zhou Tianshao, the one who had made fun of him, and said that he didn't deserve being called a cultivator. Lin Feng suddenly slapped the air in Zhou Tianmu's direction, causing blood to splash out of his mouth as he flew away. Since Zhou Tianshao liked being aggressive to prove how strong he was, Lin Feng could do the same to his people. "Piss off," said Lin Feng in a disdainful way. Zhou Tianmu was crawling on the ground now, meaning he had to raise his head to look at Lin Feng. He felt humiliated. Surprisingly, Lin Feng despised him and humiliated him, and yet he looked calm. Lin Feng was telling Zhou Tianmu, "You are nothing to me." The only difference was that Lin Feng didn't feel like wasting his saliva to tell him that. Instead, he just said "piss off." While Zhou Tianmu was engrossed in his humiliation, Lin Feng landed before the other members from the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness. Jin Shenjun walked up to Lin Feng and smiled. "I'm Jin Shen from the celestial Qi castle. What's your name?" Lin Feng glanced at him and frowned. "Are you used to being arrogant because of your social position?" Jin Shenjun frowned. Although he felt embarrassed, he continued smiling while saying, "Please tell me your name." "Muan," replied Lin Feng. "If you have nothing else to say, you can leave." How arrogant. Even though Muan's deployment spells were powerful, Jin Shenjun was an emperor after all. However, Jin Shenjun didn't show his emotions. He continued smiling and said, "I see. I won't bother you any longer then." Then he waved his hand and left. The other groups of influence left after they saw how Lin Feng had replied to Jin Chenjun. Only a few people stayed, allowing the atmosphere to become calm once more. Mui felt how powerful those deployment spells were. He was surprised by Lin Feng's abilities. Lin Feng had killed an emperor with his shattering deployment spell, and that was only one of the 3,000 great deployment spells. If Lin Feng managed to get a hold of all 3,000 deployment spells, he'd be even more terrifying. He could become another everlasting emperor. Lin Feng continued practicing and making new talismans. News about Mu En spread within the 9 great celestial castles. Even the emperors were talking about him. People were starting to gather outside Lin Feng's house. They wanted to see the guy from the rumors. Was he real? Lin Feng was in the illusion deployment spell, so he didn't care that much about what was going on outside. Mui was not so happy to have so many guests. "What is your purpose for coming here? There are too many people watching us," said Mui, smiling. "I don't care. They can just watch. I like the occasional excitement. Without them I'd get bored," said Lin Feng, smiling in a deep and meaningful way. Mui shook his head. He didn't understand Lin Feng at all. "Some more people are coming. Shouldn't we activate the illusion?" asked Mui. Lin Feng gazed into the distance and saw them. They were from the Palace of Medicinal Kings. Palace of Medicinal Kings. Lin Feng smiled evilly. Since they were handing themselves over, why not have some fun? Once they arrived, all their young men were fixedly staring at Lin Feng. They looked at the illusion deployment spell, and then they waved at Mui and Lin Feng, but only talked to Lin Feng. "We're from the Palace of Medicinal Kings. We came to see you because you're an amazing deployment spell caster." Lin Feng didn't even glance at them when they were talking. He suddenly stood up and said coldly, "Who told you to stand in the sky above me?" "Your Excellency," that person wanted to explain, but Lin Feng shouted furiously, "Get the fuck down." "All right," said the young men. They had come to make friends with Lin Feng, but the illusion deployment spell disappeared just as they arrived. This led to the awkward encounter. Everybody landed on the ground, but then Lin Feng suddenly jumped up as marks appeared beneath him. He was absorbing their destructive energies, readying to release them at any time. The young men from the Palace of Medicinal Kings became pale and said, "Your Excellency, you dare invade the place where I am staying, you must kneel," shouted Lin Feng furiously. These guys were getting more upset and confused. Invaded the place where he stayed? What was going on? Chapter 1592. The fox borrows the tiger's fierceness by staying with him. The young men from the Palace of Medicinal Kings hadn't thought that things would go down that way. If they had come to Lin Feng's sector clan, they would have been polite. But they were in a random courtyard, so they didn't need to be polite. They should be able to come and greet him with ease. Lin Feng looked furious. He took a step forwards, and the destructive energies became more intense. The young men from the Palace of Medicinal Kings sucked up their pride, knelt down and clenched their fists. He was humiliating them, but why? Piss off now. And if you ever do that again, I'll kill you, said Lin Feng. They stood up, and the leader of the group bowed before Lin Feng. "We didn't mean to disturb you. Your Excellency, I'll remember this next time." Then they left. Lin Feng had humiliated them, and they probably wouldn't forgive him for it. That guy was a great deployment spellcaster, who could even kill emperors, which allowed him to have such a bad temper. If he had done what they did to him, coming without notice and looking down upon them, then the cultivators from the Palace of Medicinal Kings would have gotten angry too. Of course, they couldn't know that Lin Feng had lost his temper, because the Palace of Medicinal Kings had humiliated his teacher back when he was trying to save him. Lin Feng had warned them someday he'd avenge his teacher, and he'd crush them in their own territory. Things were just getting warmed up. This news all spread around. The deployment spellcaster was becoming famous. Other young men from the 9 great celestial castles didn't dare seek him out anymore. Not after what happened to the young men from the Palace of Medicinal Kings. Qi Yanxiao was facing a group of people in Celestial Qi Castle. "Jin Chenjun, what you mean to say is that we should remain calm?" asked Qi Yanxiao. "Master, I went and talked to him, but he's a strange guy and he's not easygoing. He considers everybody and everything beneath his notice. no matter where they're from. A few days ago, he humiliated a group of people from the Palace of Medicinal Kings. He also offended the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness. Jin Chenjun explained. Qi Yin Xiao and the other members from the Celestial Qi Castle thought highly of Muan. Even though he was only a cultivator of the Zun Qi layer, he could kill emperors using deployment spells. After breaking through to the Huang Qi layer, he'd become a priceless asset. Qi Yin Xiao calmly listened as Jin Chenjun continued. Master, that guy is a cultivator of the Zun Qi layer, and he can already kill emperors. On top of that, he despises everybody from the 9 great celestial castles. All of this tells me he's not a simple deployment spellcaster. Where did he learn his deployment spells? Who transmitted them to him? He can't possibly have learnt them on his own. You're right. I also thought about that. I believe that there must be a powerful cultivator supporting him. We can just wait and see how things play out. He offended the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness. He even killed one of their emperors. They won't let him off. Emperor Dong, Emperor Qi, you two go and observe what happens. The Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness will definitely do something, and we need you two to watch, said Qi Yin Xiao. Even though they were both direct descendants of the Qi clan, Qi Yin Xiao didn't even know their names. He didn't even know if they were younger or older than him. He just knew that people who were sent to the small world were weak. People who use fate seeds to break through to the Huang Qi layer had limited abilities. Roger, said Emperor Dong. Emperor Dong and Emperor Qi knew where they stood in the great world. Many people had a higher status than them in Celestial Qi Castle, even some of the younger people. Sometime later, a terrifying Qi surrounded Lin Feng's house again. Outside the illusion, there were 20 people wearing golden robes. Destroy the illusion deployment spell, said one of them. In a flash, an emperor released energies to attack the illusion. Break, shouted that emperor. Lights condensed and turned into a beam which moved towards the illusion. How audacious, shouted a loud voice, making the crowd shiver. A terrifying strength emerged from inside the golden lights. Then the golden lights suddenly broke apart, and a gigantic hand descended from the sky, moving towards the emperor. The emperor's facial expression changed. His golden holy qi turned into a sharp sword. However, the gigantic hand still managed to grab him. The mist started surrounding him, before he disappeared with the hand. Oh no! The group who was attacking Lin Feng looked petrified, especially the leader who jumped forwards. He released golden holy qi, which was a lot scarier than the previous emperor's qi. The earth and sky shook, and the mist gradually disappeared. After the mist dispersed, everybody was aghast, for the emperor, who was dragged into the illusion, was lying on the ground. Cosmic strength was emerging from his body and rising to the skies, indicating that he was dead. There were 2 people standing in front of him. One was Lin Feng, and the other one was Mui. Nobody had paid attention to Mui before, but now they were. The gigantic hand which had appeared a moment before couldn't have been Lin Feng's, which meant that it belonged to his friend, Mui, a medium-level emperor. The strong cultivators from the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness looked concerned. Your Excellency, who are you? Asked the medium-level emperor from the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness in a rude way. Things were more complicated than he had expected. Mui from the Everlasting Palace, said Mui. Everybody was speechless. Those people were from the Everlasting Palace. The Everlasting Palace was known for being extremely powerful. They could easily destroy the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness, or even Qing Di Mountain. Nobody here could afford to offend the Everlasting Palace. Lin Feng slowly rose up in the air and smiled evilly. You're from the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness? How majestic. I'm here, so come and kill me already. The members from the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness all pulled a long face. Kill people from the Everlasting Palace? And a very talented cultivator at that? They didn't dare. Besides, he was probably very well positioned within the Everlasting Palace. Everything was making sense now. Chapter 1593. Invited by everyone. Everlasting Palace. The strong cultivators from the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness looked defeated. Even though the Everlasting Celestial Emperor was dead, they still couldn't offend them. Lin Feng was so strong that when Mui mentioned the everlasting palace, nobody doubted his words. The medium-level emperor glanced at them, and people started thinking a lot. Finally, they decided to give up. The medium-level emperor had taken his disciple abroad to practice, so they could only forget about it. Your Excellency, you must be joking, said the medium-level emperor trying to smile. I wouldn't have thought that you were from the everlasting palace. This was just a misunderstanding. I represent the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness. I'm very sorry, Your Excellency. Lin Feng still looked at them in a cold way. Lin Feng also had many thoughts running in his mind. That was the advantage of being part of a very powerful group. He could benefit from a reputation without having to do much. If I managed to make Tiantai rise in the great world, then nobody would dare attack Tiantai's people again, just like Qingdi Mountain. Then Tiantai could become a holy place, thought Lin Feng. The medium-level emperor from the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness looked at Lin Feng and said, Zhou Tianmu. Zhou Tianmu shivered. Since Mui had mentioned the everlasting palace, Zhou Tianmu knew things weren't going to be simple. He had tried to steal fur from a cultivator from the everlasting palace. You're a useless bastard, said the emperor as he violently slapped Zhou Tianmu, making him fly away. He felt humiliated, and even worse, now he would never be able to get his revenge. Your Excellency, we need to provide our disciples with a better education. Please don't blame us, said the medium-level emperor while smiling at Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and said indifferently, The great celestial palace of thoughtfulness are not my enemies, however. One of your disciple wanted to steal my stuff, so I taught him a lesson. Then he wanted to kill me, but luckily, my deployment spells are not that bad. Now Uncle Mui protected me, otherwise, you would have killed me already. The medium-level emperor from the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness looked embarrassed and said, If you want to punish Zhou Tianmu, our unworthy son, please do as you wish. It's easy to blame Zhou Tianmu for everything, but a moment ago, you also wanted to kill me. The cultivation world follows the law of the jungle, where the weak are prey of the strong. I can understand you want to blame others, but if Uncle Mui hadn't protected me, I'd be dead already, and you would have killed people from the everlasting palace. Therefore, if I meet anyone from the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness that I can kill, I will not hesitate. How arrogant, thought the crowd. Lin Feng really had a bad temper. The great celestial palace of thoughtfulness was polite to him in the end, and he still continued acting aggressive. He'd kill their people if he encountered them? How cruel and audacious. The strong cultivator of the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness was furious. That person was way too arrogant. He didn't give them face at all. Your Excellency, why do you need to act like that? Asked the strong cultivator coldly. Piss off, said Lin Feng. The emperor rolled up his sleeves and said, We already apologized, but if you don't care, then we can't do anything. We're off. Then he turned around and left. He was a medium-level emperor, but Lin Feng had told him to piss off. Did Lin Feng want him to kneel down and beg or what? Let's go, said Lin Feng while smiling at Mui. They activated the illusion deployment spell again, but Mui still didn't understand what was going on. Did you have problems with the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness in the past? I did, but it's not related to life and death, said Lin Feng, sitting on a wooden chair and looking at the sky. He was smiling in a deep and meaningful way. Master Mui, deactivate the illusion spells soon. Some important people are going to come and see us. What are you scheming? Said Mui, shaking his head. He stood up and got ready to deactivate the illusion deployment spell. We're studying deployment spells, but we also need materials. If someone could help us, wouldn't it be even better? Said Lin Feng enigmatically. Mui deactivated the deployment spell, and then, just like Lin Feng had said, someone came a short time after. Qi Yin Xiao from the Celestial Qi Castle. I've heard about an amazing cultivator, and here you are. I came to greet you. Lin Feng smiled but remained seated on his chair. Then he whispered, The Celestial Qi Castle is quick to act. Now that they've lost control over the small world, they really want to find other ways to have power. Come, said Lin Feng calmly. There were many people from Celestial Qi Castle waiting for them outside. Emperor Dong, Emperor Qi, they were all there. Qi Qianxing was there too. Of course, Lin Feng had changed a lot. Back then, Qi Qianxing had banished him, which wasn't something he'd forgive. "What do you want from me?" asked Lin Feng. "I've heard an amazing cultivator was here, so I came. We wanted to invite you to come over to Celestial Qi Castle," said Qi Yunxiao politely. "The Celestial Qi Castle isn't the only group in here," said someone else. "We're from the Celestial Palace of Punishing Thunders. We also wanted to invite you. Celestial Wind Castle, we wanted to invite you." Outside, more and more people appeared. As expected, these people were all interested in getting to know cultivators from the Everlasting Palace. Chapter 1594. Modest gift. Even though the courtyard wasn't that small, it was already packed with people from all the 9 great celestial castles, except the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness and the palace of medicinal kings. Lin Feng had underestimated himself. He hadn't thought that so many people would be interested in a deployment spell caster from the Everlasting Palace. Those people from the 9 great celestial castles all hoped they could become friends with Lin Feng, and thus become friends with the Everlasting Palace. There was one strong cultivator from Celestial Qi Castle who studied deployment spells and had joined the Everlasting Palace. In Celestial Qi Castle, he was strong, but in the Everlasting Palace he was rather weak. Therefore, his position was too low for them to work with. Lin Feng was different though. With the strength of the Zun Qi layer, he had managed to kill an emperor, and a medium-level emperor was protecting him. After breaking through to the Huang Qi layer, he'd become someone important without a doubt. "Thank you everybody for inviting me, but now I am facing a dilemma. I don't know where I should go," said Lin Feng. "We invited you first, so if you want to come to our Celestial Qi Castle, we'll organize something great for you," said Qi Yunxiao politely. Our Celestial Palace of Punishing Thunders arrived at almost the same time. "Master, we have some thunder deployment spells, which we could exchange for your views on deployment cultivation," said the strong cultivator from the Celestial Palace of Punishing Thunders in a polite way. What he meant by exchanging views on cultivation was, "We're going to offer you a thunder deployment spell if you come." The others were not happy, but they still tried to convince Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled thinly and said, "Everybody, you're so nice to me. I really don't know what to do. I wish I could come, but I am so busy here, and I want to fabricate some talismans. The problem is I need some materials, so if everybody could." Lin Feng was smiling in a deep and meaningful way. Mui also smiled. Lin Feng was too sly. "We have materials, you should come to our palace and we'll gift you some." No. Lin Feng couldn't miss all other opportunities because of a single group. He smiled and said, No, that's not what I meant. I'm going to find some materials, and then after that I'll decide where I'm going." "How could we let you find your own materials? We're going to pick some up in our palace, and we'll bring them back to you," said a strong cultivator from the Celestial Palace of Punishing Thunders, though he was already gone. "I'm going to pick some up for you too then." Everybody started leaving. They were afraid to act too slowly. Mui couldn't hold it anymore. He burst into laughter, shaking his head while whispering, "Those people are trying to be friends with you, and they're trying so hard. I don't even know if there are any tensions between you and them." Lin Feng smiled and said nothing. He was very pleased with how things were moving. Those people were fast. What Lin Feng didn't know was that something had happened in the buffer zone just a moment before. The 7 groups of influence had fought each other in the marketplace over materials, which were useful for deployment spellcasters. Lin Feng took some rings while remaining indifferent, but on the inside, he was overjoyed. He didn't need to worry about talismans for a long time now. "Master," said the last one. It was someone from Celestial Qi Castle. They were the last ones to make it back. Qi Yunxiao walked to Lin Feng and said, "Master, here are some modest presents we gathered for you. You shouldn't have a problem creating talismans with them. Have a look." When Lin Feng saw how confident Qi Yunxiao looked, he got even more excited. Had Qi Yunxiao prepared priceless presents for him? Lin Feng inspected the ring with his godly awareness. Cosmic energy movements. Lin Feng was amazed. He raised his head and looked at Qi Yunxiao. "What's this?" asked Lin Feng to Qi Yinxiao. Qi Yinxiao obviously knew what Lin Feng was referring to. Master, it absorbs cosmic energy and processes cosmic energy automatically. You can use the cosmic energy from that ring to carve deployment marks, said Qi Yinxiao, who was smiling confidently. He could use cosmic energy to create talismans? You are so kind to me, even though I'm just a little boy. It would be impolite of me to decline, said Lin Feng, giggling. How could he refuse such a great gift? When Qi Yinxiao heard Lin Feng call himself a little boy, he smiled triumphantly. The Everlasting Palace would be friends with Celestial Qi Castle in the future now that he had offered him such a great gift. The others looked furious. They wouldn't have thought that Qi Yinxiao would find such a great gift. It's only a small gift. If you like it, I'm very happy. All right, I shouldn't disturb you, but I think it'd be a pity if you didn't come to the Celestial Qi Castle. You should come over sometime, and we'll have drinks and food prepared. We have even more materials for you to fabricate talismans with. Qi Yinxiao really wanted to become friends with Lin Feng, so he invited him again. Hee. Lin Feng smiled and said to everybody, everybody is so nice to me, so I can't refuse your invitations. First I'll go to Celestial Qi Castle for a few days, and after that, if anyone is willing to invite me, I'll happily come. Qi Yinxiao looked very happy after he heard Lin Feng. He didn't intend to let Lin Feng go after he came though. Master, let's go to the headquarters of Celestial Qi Castle all together. All right, said Qi Yinxiao. Master, please. Master Muan, you can come to Celestial Wen Castle whenever you want, said a strong cultivator from the Celestial Wen Castle, smiling at Lin Feng politely. Even if Lin Feng had accepted Celestial Qi Castle's invitation first, there are still other opportunities. Lin Feng and Mui walked through the territories of Celestial Qi Castle, noting how many interesting places for cultivation there were. Master, this is Jiayin Peak, and that wooden bridge leads to the Yaoyin Peak. Where would you prefer to go? Asked Qi Yinxiao. They were in the depths of Celestial Qi Castle's territories. I like Yaoyin Peak, but you don't need to stay with me all the time, said Lin Feng, smiling. All right, there's a quiet pavilion there. I'll send some beautiful women to you. And if you like them, you can do whatever you want with them, said Qi Yinxiao, smiling. You're too polite, said Lin Feng. There were many pavilions there, and the landscapes were magnificent. Now, Lin Feng was Celestial Qi Castle's guest of honor. Chapter 1595. Invite a wolf into one's house. There was a pavilion on Yaoyin Peak, and the surroundings were very beautiful. Looking over the mountain's side, there was a sea of clouds, providing a tranquil feeling. Besides this, Lin Feng was offered several women's services, but he declined them once they got there. Lin Feng took out the ring with the cosmic energy and the fur. Then he put them on a stone table as Mui observed. Lin Feng didn't need to try so hard to make talismans anymore. He just had to put some materials on a table, and things happened almost naturally. And with the cosmic energies, it was even easier to carve the marks. They offered you a wonderful gift just to be friends with you, said Mui, smiling. If Lin Feng had really been a member of the Everlasting Palace, it would have undoubtedly benefited Celestial Qi Castle. Even now Mui didn't understand what Lin Feng's end goal was. Indeed, I can make many talismans easily with that, said Lin Feng, smiling. He didn't need to rely on his own abstruse energies to carve marks. But if he could use both types of energies, then his talismans would be even more powerful. Master Mui, I need calm for a few days to fabricate some talismans. If the people from Celestial Qi Castle come here to invite us for dinner or whatever, just refuse, and tell them I'm practicing cultivation, said Lin Feng to Mui. He had too many materials, so now he needed to fabricate talismans. I will, said Mui, smiling and nodding. He didn't study talismans, so he went to continue studying illusion deployment spells in the mountains. Lin Feng went to another place in the mountains to study. During the next few days, many people from Celestial Qi Castle came to invite them for dinner, amongst other things. But since Lin Feng was practicing cultivation, they didn't want to disturb him. Instead, they left more materials to fabricate talismans with Mui, and told him to give them to Lin Feng. They were very polite during that time. 1 month later, Lin Feng finished fabricating some talismans and came out of his room again. Celestial Qi Castle sent beautiful women every day, and each of them brought more items. On that day, the beautiful girls were only watching Lin Feng and Muyi in the pavilion. After some time passed, Jin Chenjun came to Yaoyun Peak and invited Lin Feng and Muyi. This time they didn't refuse. Master Muan, Master Qi Yin Xiao has some things to do. When he saw that you were practicing cultivation, he left for a few days, but he should be coming back soon. Jin Chenjun and Lin Feng were walking on the wooden bridge as Jin Chenjun was talking. The landscape was magnificent. They could see the entire territory of Celestial Qi Castle from there. Jin Chenjun, you're too polite. Such an insignificant person, as myself, doesn't deserve Master Qi Yin Zhao's kindness. I can't even repay you, Jin Chenjun, for your kindness, said Lin Feng. Jin Chenjun was very happy when he heard Lin Feng. Of course, Lin Feng was sleeping and eating in their territory, and they gave him presents all the time, so they could only be friends at this juncture. They were just worried about getting Lin Feng to come in the first place, and now that he was there, everything would proceed smoothly. Master Muan, all I ask is that you don't consider me a stranger. If you need anything more, just tell me and I'll do it for you, said Jin Chenjun. Celestial Qi Castle is so kind to me. I feel honored, said Lin Feng. He then pointed at Celestial Qi Castle's vast territory and said, Jin Chenjun, I practice shattering deployment spells. Even though Celestial Qi Castle doesn't practice such things, because you have an endless number of extremely strong cultivators, I could cast one on your territory as a protection. This could be a sign of gratitude, said Lin Feng. Jin Chenjun was extremely happy. You're so kind, we can't refuse. We will do everything we can to help you, I guarantee you. Since Lin Feng wanted to help them with the deployment spell, Jin Chenjun felt like preparing even more gifts for him that he'd give him after. Then their friendship would become even more stable. I don't like procrastinating, so I will start today. I just need to use the cosmic energies from Fate Seeds to cast the powerful deployment spell, said Lin Feng. Alright, what kind of Fate Seed do you need? Asked Jin Chenjun. He was a little bitter on the inside though. Fate Seeds could be used to break through to the Huang Qi layer. And now Lin Feng wanted to use one to try out his deployment spell. An Earth Fate Seed, said Lin Feng. He saw that Jin Chenjun's mouth twitched, but he still smiled and said, prepare a few. After all, Celestial Qi Castle's territory is gigantic, so if you need a powerful shattering deployment spell, we'll need several Fate Seeds. No problem. I will do all I can. Offer me a moment as I ask someone to get some. Jin Chenjun then turned around and spoke to Emperor Dong. Emperor Dong, brother, you have a high cultivation level, so you're faster than I am. Can you go back to Celestial Qi Castle and pick those up? Thank you. Even though Jin Chenjun was an emperor, he didn't have that many Fate Seeds. From those few, he didn't have any Earth Fate Seeds. Even if he did have some, he wouldn't be willing to use his own. All right. Emperor Dong nodded and smiled at Lin Feng. Master, I'm going to Celestial Qi Castle to get your Fate Seeds. Thank you, Master, said Lin Feng, smiling in a resplendent way. If Emperor Dong knew he was facing Lin Feng right now, how would he react? I'll be back later, said Emperor Dong politely. Lin Feng smiled and said, that Emperor Dong is really nice. Even though he's strong, he's still so polite. Emperor Qi and Qi Qianxing were upset after they heard that. Emperor Dong wasn't willing to act that way with just anyone. Let alone he was only an emperor in the small world, of which their social position within the hierarchy of the group was so low. They had no choice but act polite in these situations. Emperor Dong is nice indeed. Those two are Emperor Qi and Qi Qianxing. Emperor Qi has broken through to the Huang Qi layer for a very long time now, and Qi Qianxing is about to break through to the Huang Qi layer, said Jin Chenjun, introducing the two to Lin Feng. They looked at Lin Feng and said politely, Master Muan, you must think we're ridiculous. Your cultivation levels are higher than mine. I'm the one who feels ridiculous, said Lin Feng smiling. Even though he was acting pleasant in front of all these people, on the inside, he wasn't happy. He hoped he'd kill them soon and avenge all the people they had killed. However, At that moment, they were chatting and laughing. Jin Chenjun was extremely happy now that Lin Feng and he were becoming good friends. And now Emperor Qi and Qi Qianxing were becoming friends with Lin Feng as well. Jin Chenjun, Emperor Dong is gone now, so let's have a walk, suggested Lin Feng. Jin Chenjun nodded. Why not? Let's go, said Lin Feng. He immediately rose up in the air. There are many people here. Even in Xixiang City, we don't have such places. But our market is a little bit better, said Lin Feng. Of course, but you can't compare Xixiang City with such a small place, said Jin Chenjun. They both flew very far away. As they were flying, they came across a castle which looked like Celestial Qi Castle, both majestic and imposing. What a beautiful building! Let's go and look at it, said Lin Feng smiling. Master Muan, wait, said Jin Chenjun. His facial expression suddenly changed. Lin Feng turned around and asked, Is there a problem? Jin Chenjun got nervous after he saw Lin Feng was frowning. He didn't want to lose his new friend, so he smiled again and said, Master Muan, that's the Palace of Medicinal Kings. The Palace of Medicinal Kings is one of the 9 great celestial castles. No wonder it's so beautiful. I really want to go and see it, said Lin Feng smiling. Jin Chenjun didn't know what to say anymore. What did Muan want to do there? He couldn't prevent Muan from going, he could just warn him. Jin Chenjun couldn't know that Lin Feng wanted to cause trouble. As he passed through, Lin Feng wanted to see if their people were going to attack him. Chapter 1596. Causing trouble. Lin Feng entered the Palace of Medicinal Kings, while Jin Chenjun looked petrified as he followed. The Palace of Medicinal Kings probably wouldn't dare attack a deployment spellcaster from the Everlasting Palace, so they should be fine. They both flew in the sky above the Palace of Medicinal Kings, causing people to look up at them in a despising way. Someone dared enter their palace without warning them beforehand? Even members from the other groups of influence didn't do that. But now a stranger dared? Stop! Even though the strangers looked strong, they had to stop them. Lin Feng looked at them and shouted, Piss off! The guards were even more surprised. That person was so aggressive. It's the Palace of Medicinal Kings. Stop! Shouted his interlocutor. Lin Feng smiled coldly and continued flying forwards, ignoring those people as he moved along. Then, someone punched the air in Lin Feng's direction. Lin Feng didn't even try to dodge, as if it had nothing to do with him. Who dared attack? A gigantic golden hand blocked the attack. How could Jin Chenjun let anyone injure Lin Feng? He didn't dare be too aggressive either. They were in the Palace of Medicinal Kings after all, and he was from Celestial Qi Castle. If he injured or killed someone, it could trigger a war between their groups. Jin Chenjun. The young man looked furious when they recognized Jin Chenjun. Does Celestial Qi Castle want to attack our Palace of Medicinal Kings? You're so noisy. If you dare stop me again, Jin Chenjun will kill you without hesitating. Lin Feng rudely said. How could they know that Jin Chenjun wasn't happy to be there? But he had to follow Lin Feng. Jin Chenjun knew that Lin Feng had previously made people from the Palace of Medicinal Kings kneel in front of him as he insulted him. Was this revenge? That herbal garden is nice, let's go take a look at it, said Lin Feng. As they were flying about, more and more people came towards Lin Feng, and Jin Chenjun. Lin Feng acted as if he hadn't noticed anything. Rather, he was looking at the herbal garden, commending it on its great smell. He smiled and said, I wouldn't have thought that there would be so many incredible herbal plants here. Many of them are priceless even. I'm taking them all. Jin Chenjun's mouth was wide open, speechless. The ground shook as Lin Feng landed on the ground and released earth abstruse energies to cover the entire herbal garden. Moron, thought Jin Chenjun. They were done for. Lin Feng didn't seem to care still as he started picking up all the plants and flowers. Stop that, you moron! Shouted someone furiously. A silhouette was flying at them looking furious. His eyes were bloodshot even. He had spent hundreds of years on that garden, and now some strangers were stealing from it. It took me hundreds of years to grow those plants and flowers. Some of them need 1,000 years to blossom, and they're at 998 years. It'll only be 2 more years before they. The old man was furious. He wanted to kill Lin Feng no matter what now. You moron, you must die, said the old man, raising his hand and releasing force. Your Excellency, please control yourself. Jin Chenjun's facial expression suddenly changed. He was furious, especially seeing how Muyi didn't seem like he intended to attack at all. Jin Chenjun, good, very good, said the old man furiously. By now the garden was completely empty. Lin Feng had taken everything. How audacious! You tried to kill me, said Lin Feng. Others from the Palace of Medicinal Kings started surrounding Lin Feng with murderous intentions. Emperor Qi, make them stop, shouted Jin Chenjun. Emperor Qi released force around those cultivators of the Zun Qi layer, forcing everyone to freeze. You wanted to kill me. Lin Feng jumped forwards and threw a few talismans. Deployment talismans. Those people from the Palace of Medicinal Kings suddenly looked terrified. It was him. They couldn't know that the renowned deployment spellcaster was the guest of honor in Celestial Qi Castle right now. Let us go, shouted the few young men to Emperor Qi. However, Lin Feng's talismans quickly approached them and broke apart. Terrifying, shattering energies surrounded those four people and killed them. Your Excellency, please stop. An emperor approached from the distance. They were inside the Palace of Medicinal King's territory, but not in their headquarters. Therefore, there weren't so many strong cultivators there. Only a few low-level emperors, just like Celestial Qi Castle's territories. Uncle Muyi, let's kill them. They wanted to kill me, so they can't blame me, said Lin Feng, moving like the wind. He landed on a tower and glanced around as he released fire energies. The emperor who had just arrived was speechless. Muyi was preventing them from doing anything as Lin Feng wreaked havoc, setting everything on fire. He also picked up plants and flowers when he found private gardens. After a short time, many places were burning. An emperor happened to walk out of a building and saw the fire. He was immediately furious as he screamed, "Who dares set the Palace of Medicinal Kings on fire?" Lin Feng glanced around and saw powerful qi approaching from the distance. He moved like the wind and flew back to Jin Chenjun. Those people are incredibly violent. Jin Chenjun, you should have told me, or I wouldn't have come here, said Lin Feng indifferently. Lin Feng had come, stolen plants and flowers, and now he had set their territory on fire. One emperor had even been killed by Jin Chenjun. Another one couldn't move, because Emperor Qi was holding him down with pressure. Jin Chenjun was speechless. What had he done to deserve that? He had warned Lin Feng that it was the Palace of Medicinal Kings, but Lin Feng still wanted to go. Jin Chen from Celestial Qi Castle, good. The Palace of Medicinal Kings will remember this, said the emperor in a cold way. After he saw that a medium-level emperor was there, he didn't act rashly, especially given Lin Feng's social status. Jin Chenjun was beyond furious. He wanted to say that it had nothing to do with Celestial Qi Castle, but he couldn't in front of Lin Feng. Uncle Muyi, Jin Chenjun, let's go back. Jin Chenjun, next time don't forget to remind me that I can't come here, said Lin Feng. Jin Chenjun's heart twitched, but they did leave. The crowd from the Palace of Medicinal Kings didn't chase them, even though they wanted nothing more than to do so. Celestial Qi Castle, screamed a cold voice. Chapter 1597. Revenge news spread that Celestial Qi Castle had been to the Palace of Medicinal Kings and had caused a lot of trouble. It was even said that some people had been injured and killed. It was also rumored that they stole precious plants and flowers from their private gardens. The Palace of Medicinal Kings started sending a lot of strong cultivators to the buffer zone, and Celestial Qi Castle did the same. After Qi Yunxiao learnt about that, he immediately volunteered himself to a patrol with some other strong cultivators. The white-bearded old emperor from the Palace of Medicinal Kings was seated as he glanced around and said indifferently, "Everybody has now heard about Celestial Qi Castle's assault. They humiliated us, so what should we do?" "Master, the situation is a bit strange," said an emperor at that moment. "From what I know, the leader of the group was Jin Chenjun, and he was with some emperors, but there were no high officials. The Palace of Medicinal Kings and Celestial Qi Castle has never had problems before. Plus Jin Chenjun has no reason to provoke us. Even if he did, he wouldn't be brave enough to try like that." You're right. The only explanation would be that people behind the scenes, people who control Celestial Chi Castle, are using Jin Shinjun. If it's not the case, then it could be Mu-In trying to cause problems. Everything is possible. Mu-In is from the Everlasting Palace and controls powerful deployment spells. Last time, he humiliated our disciples, and now he came to our palace, attacked our people and stole our herbs. All in all, even if he did it, he was supported by Celestial Chi Castle. He doesn't fear us, he actually despises us. Reason that person. Everyone in the meeting nodded. They weren't stupid and could reason that too. If the people who controlled Celestial Chi Castle behind the scenes hadn't started that, then Jin Shinjun couldn't possibly do it on his own. So the only one who could have started that was Mu-In. Bang! The white-bearded emperor hammered the table with his fist. Then he yelled, Mu-In is insane, but whether it's Celestial Chi Castle or Mu-In's fault, I don't care. Celestial Chi Castle is responsible for this. Everybody nodded. Inspect Celestial Chi Castle in secret, and inform us of anything you find. In 3 days, we'll pay a visit to Celestial Chi Castle, said the white-bearded old man. They wouldn't forget Mu-In's role in all of this. At the same time, back in Celestial Chi Castle, there were many strong cultivators gathered in a hall, including Qi Yinxiao, who was seated in front of everyone with a sullen face. He was now paying for those events. Celestial Chi Castle had gone to the Palace of Medicinal Kings and had killed people, humiliating them. There was zero chance that the Palace of Medicinal Kings would forgive them. Jin Shinjun perfectly knew that he would have to bear the responsibility for those things. They had made great efforts to bring Mu-In to their castle. So could they blame him? They didn't even dare talk about their troubles near Mu-In, otherwise, he might get upset and leave. Go and spend time with Master Mu-In, said Qi Yinxiao coldly. Things were done already, and they couldn't go back in time to fix them. Blaming Jin Shinjun was useless too. The best thing to do now was to continue building their relationship with Mu-In. Lin Feng didn't care about all those things. He was with Muyi in the vast spaces of Celestial Chi Castle. He was carving marks all around Celestial Chi Castle, while Muyi was helping him by releasing cosmic energies into the marks. The marks were intertwining and turning into holy marks. Immediately after, they disappeared as they sank into the wall. To cast a great deployment spell over the entire territory of Celestial Chi Castle, Lin Feng had to cast countless small deployment spells first. He wasn't as experienced as Yan Di, so he wasn't as fast and precise, but he was always improving. Jin Shinjun was in the distance, calmly observing him. He didn't want to disturb him now. Even though Lin Feng caused them a lot of trouble, he was very serious when it came to casting deployment spells. He even looks like a completely different person, thought Jin Shinjun. Qi Yinxiao and some others approached Jin Shinjun. Jin Shinjun was going to talk, but Qi Yinxiao raised his hand while observed Lin Feng. I've heard that when casting deployment spells, you cannot make a single mistake whilst drawing the marks. Otherwise it will influence the overall efficiency of the spell. Besides, when you cast a great deployment spell, you need to cast countless small deployment spells. Those people's strength relies in their concentration. They're usually very good at practicing cultivation too. It is because of this that there are some groups which date back to the antiquity, who specialize in deployment spellcasting. You could almost claim that those people are enlightened. Everybody listened to Qi Yinxiao, and then looked at Lin Feng with admiration. He was so young, and he was already so good at casting deployment spells. A bright future awaited him. Observe him and try to learn from him, said Qi Yinxiao to the crowd. Everybody nodded in return. Lin Feng continued carving marks for 3 days without stopping. The crowd around him just observed, entranced by his focused and meticulous carvings. Master Mu-In was exactly the kind of person Qi Yinxiao had described. He didn't let anything distract him. He didn't even raise his head to look around. Muyi was secretly amazed as well. Lin Feng had been carving marks for 3 days and 3 nights, so he couldn't wait to see the final product. Muyi thought even more now that he was far from being as talented as Lin Feng. Finally, Lin Feng carved the last mark in the centralmost part of Celestial Chi Castle. Around him, all the invisible marks were intertwining. Done. Lin Feng put his hands on the marks and suddenly, they started shining magnificently. In a short time, the whole Qi clan was shining. Break! A gigantic word appeared in the sky. Break. Jin Chenjun was amazed by that strength. I wonder how strong that deployment spell is, whispered Jin Chenjun. 3 days, 3 nights of effort. You were right, Master Qi Yun Xiao. Even if Master Mu En wasn't a deployment spellcaster, he'd be an incredible cultivator, said Emperor Dong sighing. Many emperors were gathered there, preparing for an assault. They had offended the palace of medicinal kings, so it was only a matter of time until they got their revenge. Mission successfully completed. The deployment spell is an overwhelming success. Lin Feng landed before Jin Chenjun and the others and smiled. Master Muan, you've made great efforts on our behalf. Thank you, said Jin Chenjun smiling. Lin Feng's deployment spell would surely be terrifying. If Mu En became an emperor in the future, and then became one of the leaders of the Everlasting Palace, while Celestial Qi Castle had him as a friend, then they wouldn't need to care about the Palace of Medicinal Kings or Qingdi Mountain ever again. You did so much for me, so this can't be considered much. It is my duty to make Celestial Qi Castle happy, said Lin Feng smiling in a resplendent way. Celestial Qi Castle had done so much for him? An emperor from Celestial Qi Castle frowned as he gazed into the distance. Lin Feng turned around as well and saw people flying above the clouds. He smiled evilly. Finally, perfect timing. Chapter 1598. The explosive power of the shattering deployment spell. People from the Palace of Medicinal Kings are here. Everyone in Celestial Qi Castle raised their heads, shivering with fear. The Palace of Medicinal Kings was going to attack them. What are you doing here, dear friends? Asked Qi Yun Xiao to the crowd in the distance. This time, the Palace of Medicinal Kings people didn't look happy. But no matter what, they had to remain polite at first. Qi Yun Xiao, you should know what's going on. Why even ask? Asked the leader of the group from the Palace of Medicinal Kings. It was the white-bearded old emperor. He shook his hands and millions of vines appeared, which then became as sharp as swords and immediately surrounded all the buildings in Celestial Qi Castle. In a flash, buildings started collapsing, reduced to rubble. The people who were inside those buildings started panicking and running away. The Palace of Medicinal Kings hadn't dispatched too many people, but they were all strong emperors. The white-bearded emperor wasn't the only one who attacked. The others started attacking too, destroying countless buildings. Let's fight! Qi Yun Xiao wanted to say something more, but he glanced around and saw countless members of Celestial Qi Castle bleeding and flying around. Qi Yun Xiao jumped forwards and lights dashed to the skies. He was aiming for the white-bearded emperor. The other emperors from Celestial Qi Castle started attacking too. Lin Feng was standing in the sky, watching the battle comfortably. Everything was happening the way he had expected. Of course, things weren't over. It was only the beginning. Even though they were already having a great battle, it wasn't enough for Lin Feng. He hoped the battles would rise to the next level. Even though Lin Feng didn't join the battle, nobody tried to kill him. After all, he was a great deployment spellcaster from the Everlasting Palace. Attacking him might enrage all the Everlasting Palace's people, which would result in uncountable consequences. Celestial Qi Castle's people use different sorts of cosmic energies, while the strong cultivators from the Palace of Medicinal Kings use precious items and can activate the soul of herbs and plants. How interesting, thought Lin Feng. He saw a strong cultivator from the Palace of Medicinal Kings, whose spirit was a white plant, which diffused white lights around his fellow fighters, healing them. Master Yun Xiao, if you need me to intervene, then just ask. Celestial Qi Castle has been so kind to me, so I will do my best to kick them out if need be, said Lin Feng to Qi Yun Xiao. He didn't want to attack on his own, for if Qi Yun Xiao told him to attack, that way, they would bear the responsibility for the aftermath. I'll tell you if we need you, Master, said Qi Yun Xiao as he attacked another cultivator. His hand turned into a golden light, piercing through the sky. Lin Feng had watched emperors fight before, but this was much more impressive because these emperors were stronger and had even more terrifying spirits, godly awareness strength, cosmic energies, and holy marks. All those emperors had different powers, different battling styles, and different attacks. No. Finally, an emperor from Celestial Chi Castle died. Cosmic energies corroded his body before he disappeared with a horrible shriek. Palace of Medicinal Kings, good, very good, said Qi Yinshao. Please, Master Muan, help. Some of their emperors were dying now, and Qi Yinshao couldn't do much to save them. All right. Lin Feng smiled and jumped to the center of the area, yelling at all the emperors from Celestial Qi Castle. Everybody get next to me. Move, shouted Qi Yinshao loudly. Instantly, all the emperors flew over to Lin Feng. Lin Feng nodded at Muyi, and Muyi suddenly jumped forwards, saving some emperors who couldn't make it fast enough. As they ran over, the cultivators from the Palace of Medicinal Kings chased them. It seemed that Mu En wanted to activate a deployment spell, so they had to do something. Stay around and kick them if they get too close, said Lin Feng indifferently. He raised his hands and suddenly, terrifying marks started shining. With a flash, the entire territory of Celestial Chi Castle glowed, destructive energies emerging. Let's go. Rise up in the air and defend yourselves. A moment before, the white-bearded emperor didn't care too much because Lin Feng didn't pose a threat to them, however. Now he could sense that the chi was enough to make him suffocate. Die, shouted Lin Feng. With that, the earth and sky started shaking violently as cosmic energies condensed. A light beam emerged from the center of the deployment spell. Had that deployment spell really been cast by a cultivator of the Zunqi layer? Ah, a horrible shriek sounded. A strong cultivator from the Palace of Medicinal Kings was transpierced by the beam of light, immediately exploding. Even Muyi was shaking. That deployment spell really was one of the 3,000 great deployment spells of the Emperor. But how could Lin Feng cast such a spell? Muyi had stayed with Lin Feng for a while, so he knew him well, but he still couldn't believe it his eyes. Lin Feng clenched his fists after he witnessed his success. He had carved those marks with his own two hands, and someday, he'd carve such marks with only his mind. Chapter 1599. Apologize. Lin Feng had underestimated the power of his deployment spell. With the help of fate seeds, his deployment spell was even more terrifying than he'd imagined. Qi Yinshao glanced at Lin Feng. He was amazed and thought, we must do anything we can for that guy. He'll become monstrously strong someday, as strong, if not stronger than the emperor of the great imperial everlasting palace. Lin Feng usually seemed like he considered everybody and everything beneath his notice, but when he was carving marks, he turned into a completely different person. Besides, Qi Yinshao thought that it was normal for such an incredible person to be so proud and arrogant. Even if he didn't understand Muan that well, he had to do his best to solidify their relationship. Qi Yinshao walked to Lin Feng carefree as he wasn't worried about the people from the Palace of Medicinal Kings anymore. He whispered, Master Muan, your deployment spell is absolutely fantastic. If you have the opportunity, maybe you should try and find the everlasting celestial emperor. Lin Feng turned around and smiled at Qi Yinshao. He is a god to me. If I could do only 10% of what he can do, I'd be happy. You are too modest, Master Muan, said Qi Yinshao. He knew that Lin Feng was just being modest, because he was usually very confident, proud, and arrogant. Even if Muan thought that, Qi Yinshao felt that he could become as strong as the everlasting celestial emperor someday. Master Yinshao, I'm so sorry. I think that some people from Celestial Qi Castle died already. I'm also sorry about the buildings which were destroyed. Lin Feng said to Qi Yinshao. Qi Yinshao shook his head and said, this is just one of our territories. The people who are from here are not that important, and we can reconstruct buildings whenever we have time. Actually, Qi Yinshao was sad to lose those people and buildings, but he didn't dare tell Lin Feng that. The deployment spell was too important for the Qi clan. That's fine then, said Lin Feng, nodding and smiling. Strong cultivators not caring about weaker people was normal in that world. People from the Celestial Qi Castle had died, but they weren't important, just like the people whom they sent to the small worlds. They were only toys for them to play with. The shattering deployment spell gradually disappeared, and the marks became less dazzling. The crowd took a deep breath. Buildings were destroyed, and there were ruins everywhere. Even medium-level emperors weren't that scary. People raised their heads and saw 3 people, 3 emperors. The white-bearded emperor was the leader of that group. Only 3 people are left? That meant 6-7 emperors had fallen. Deployment spell. The crowd glanced around and saw the ruins everywhere. Then they looked at Lin Feng, the deployment spellcaster. The white-bearded shivered after he looked at the aftermath. That deployment spell posed a serious threat to them. If they hadn't moved fast enough, they would have died too. Phew. The white-bearded man took a deep breath. Then he looked at Lin Feng and said, Master Muan, nobody can deny that you are an incredible cultivator. We don't want to be your enemies anymore. Let's forget about this. Concerning you and the Celestial Qi Castle, let's forget about this for today, but we'll settle the score in the future. Let's go, said the white-bearded emperor. The 2 others glanced at Celestial Qi Castle in a cold way, and then left. Qi Yanxiao and the others didn't chase them. Mu En killed their emperors, but the Palace of Medicinal Kings still wants to make Celestial Qi Castle bear responsibility for what happened, thought the crowd. Lin Feng smiled. Everything was running perfectly. The Palace of Medicinal Kings and Celestial Qi Castle were now enemies. Master Muan, thank you so much for helping us today. Don't worry about us. You can go back to Yao Yin Peak and have a rest, said Qi Yanxiao politely. Lin Feng nodded and smiled. All right, I'm going then. Jin Chenjun, Emperor Dong, protect Yao Yin Peak and be there if Master Mu En needs anything, said Qi Yanxiao. Jin Chenjun and Emperor Dong understood just how important Mu En was to Celestial Qi Castle. Roger, Master. Then they left with Lin Feng. Qi Yanxiao was standing there, looking at where the marks had disappeared. Master, should we? Asked someone next to Qi Yanxiao. Suddenly, Qi Yanxiao looked at him in a cold way and said, Never mention that again. Qi Yanxiao knew what that person meant. He wanted to try Lin Feng's deployment spell, but he was afraid that Lin Feng could get angry if they did. If Lin Feng told them they could try and use the deployment spell, then they'd do it. Otherwise they would remain respectful. Since Lin Feng had cast such a terrifying deployment spell, he could cast a second one, and a third one. News spread quickly. Now everybody knew about what had happened at Celestial Qi Castle. Mu En, a cultivator of the 8th Zun Qi layer, killed so many emperors with his deployment spell. Sometime after that battle, in a luxuriant hall in the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness, a medium-level emperor was seated before a crowd. What do you think? Some people frowned, but one of the emperors said, Mu En's deployment spells are terrifying. He might even have an exceptional status within the Everlasting Palace. Perhaps he's a core disciple, and he's only traveling to gain experience right now. Indeed. The leader nodded, stood up and took 2 steps. Then he gazed into the distance and said, There are tensions between the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness and Mu En. Everybody besides us, and the Palace of Medicinal Kings invited him. Then, Celestial Qi Castle went to the Palace of Medicinal Kings to cause trouble. I'm worried that Mu En started that. You mean that Mu En hates us and the Palace of Medicinal Kings so much that he wants to get his revenge? Asked one of them worriedly. I'm also worried about that. I think Mu En hates us even more than the Palace of Medicinal Kings. If so, he could pose a threat to us, said a strong cultivator in a golden robe, frowning. Master, what should we do? Asked someone. That cultivator remained silent for a few minutes before looking at someone. Tian Xiao, gather some presents and apologize to him. Apologize? The crowd was surprised. The Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness was going to apologize to a cultivator of the Zun Qi layer. Chapter 1600. Kneel down to talk. Inside a vast forest in the Qingdi mountain, 2 people were playing chess. Brother Qi, you play chess as if you were casting deployment spells. You leave no room for criticism. I feel inferior, said someone in a gentle way, smiling. Brother Anai Chun, you must be joking. This is nothing, said the other one called Brother Qi, shaking his head and smiling. If you say the Everlasting Palace's deployment spells aren't powerful, then Anai Chun, don't know what powerful means, said Emperor Anai Chun, smiling. I've heard about a young man who's an adept at casting deployment spells. With the strength of the 8th Zunqi layer, he alone killed 7 emperors. Even some medium-level emperors fear him. Do you know who he is, and why he came to the 9 great celestial castles? 8th Zunqi layer, he killed 7 emperors, medium-level emperors fear him? Qi Yunlei frowned and said, Really? Of course it happened just yesterday. News spreads quickly around here. Said Enichen nodding. It's impossible to cast such explosive deployment spells using abstruse energies. Said Qi Yunlei shaking his head. Even though he knew that Emperor Enichen wouldn't lie to him. He may have used fate seeds, said Emperor Enichen. Even with cosmic energies, he would still need to cast a great deployment spells to defeat so many emperors, whispered Qi Yunlei. Even in the Everlasting Palace, there weren't that many great deployment spells, so usually young cultivators didn't have the opportunity to study them, apart from core disciples. Besides, there were only 2 young men in the Everlasting Palace who, with the strength of the Zunqi layer, could pose a threat to medium-level emperors. However, they weren't supposed to be there. Brother Enichen, do you know his name? Do you know where he is from? Asked Qi Yunlei to Emperor Enichen. Apparently, that deployment spellcaster's name is Mu-En, and he's staying in Celestial Qi Castle's territory these days, said Emperor Enichen, smiling at Qi Yunlei. Qi Yunlei was surprised. Inside Celestial Qi Castle? Mu-En, whispered Qi Yunlei. Even though he wasn't very high in the hierarchy of the Everlasting Palace, he knew the names of the most outstanding young people. There couldn't be a such monstrously strong young man, whom he hadn't heard of before. And yet he hadn't heard of Mu-En before. Brother Enichen, I'm going to Celestial Qi Castle to see him in person. I wouldn't have thought that something this interesting would happen, said Qi Yunlei smiling. He looked embarrassed for he had never heard of such a strong disciple from the Everlasting Palace. He feared that Emperor Enichen would despise him for his lacking knowledge. Oh! When Emperor Enichen saw Qi Yunlei's face, he smiled and nodded. All right, you haven't been to Celestial Qi Castle in a long time. But Brother Qi, you just got back, so you should have a rest. You can go tomorrow instead. Besides, I will also dispatch some people to go with you. If it's possible, we'll invite him to the Qingdi Mountain too. Sounds like a plan. Thank you, said Qingdi Mountain nodding. He wasn't in a rush. He belonged to the direct lineage of Celestial Qi Castle, and he was very talented. That was why he had become a cultivator in Qingdi Mountain. And then, because his deployment spells were quite good, he had also been accepted by the Everlasting Palace. Qingdi Mountain didn't prevent their cultivators from joining other groups. After all, if people were talented, it was only normal for them to constantly seek better places to practice cultivation. If Qingdi Mountain had prevented them from leaving, it might hurt them in the long run. Besides, it was also a good way to gain new allies. For example, Qi Yunlei was a member of Celestial Qi Castle and had joined Qingdi Mountain and the Everlasting Palace. Buildings and towers in Celestial Qi Castle, which had been destroyed just the other day, had already been reconstructed. Outside of their territory, some people appeared who were wearing golden robes and had golden lights flashing around them. We are from the great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness, and we came here to greet Celestial Qi Castle, said Zhou Tianxiao loudly. A short time after, Jin Shenjun appeared and smiled. Brother Zhou, why did you come here? We came to say hello to Master Mu-En. We hope you can tell him that we came by, said Zhou Tianxiao smiling politely. Jin Shenjun's understood what they wanted. There were tensions between the great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness and Mu-En, so they came to resolve that. Since they were saying they wanted to greet him, Jin Shenjun didn't prevent them from going to see him. Otherwise, if Mu-En learned about that, he might get upset. Jin Shenjun took them to Yaoyun Peak, and after a short time, they arrived near the bridge. Wait here, I'm going to inform the master, said Jin Shenjun to Zhou Tianxiao and the others. Zhou Tianxiao nodded and smiled. Thank you, Jin Shenjun. Lin Feng was seated on a stone and his eyes were closed, so Jin Shenjun stopped a certain distance away and shouted in a low voice, Master Mu-En. He didn't want to disturb Lin Feng, however. Lin Feng opened his eyes and smiled at Jin Shenjun. What do you want, Jin Shenjun? Master Muen, Zhou Tianxiao from the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness is here with some people. They came to greet you, so I was wondering whether you wanted to see them or not, explained Jin Shenjun Zhou Tianxiao. Lin Feng looked interested and smiled indifferently. Zhou Tianxiao despised Lin Feng. He had even told him he didn't deserve to be called a cultivator, and now he had come to make amends. Tell them to come, Jin Shenjun, said Lin Feng smiling. Jin Shenjun nodded, and a short time after, Zhou Tianxiao and the others arrived. It was the first time Zhou Tianxiao saw Lin Feng with that mask. As expected, the deployment spellcaster's face was a bit yellow, making him look sick. He had broken through to the 8th Zunqi layer, and he looked normal. But in the end, he was an overwhelmingly powerful deployment spellcaster. Zhou Tianxiao from the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness, we came to greet you, Master Muen, said Zhou Tianxiao extremely politely. Even though he didn't enjoy saying that, the elders of his group had told him to do that, and he couldn't refuse. What do you want? Asked Lin Feng calmly. Some unpleasant things happened between the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness and you, and it's our fault. We hope you can forgive us. I came to apologize in the name of the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness. Zhou Tianxiao walked to Lin Feng and gave him a ring. Lin Feng took the ring. Then Zhou Tianxiao moved backwards. Lin Feng inspected the ring. After inspecting it, he smiled indifferently. The Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness tried to kill me a few times. And if I didn't have some tricks, I would have died to you already. So now, do you think saying you're sorry is enough? Said Lin Feng impolitely while putting the ring away. What do you want the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness to do, Master Muen? Tell us what you want, and we'll do it for you, said Zhou Tianxiao as politely as before. Kneel when you talk to me and show respect, said Lin Feng, slowly standing up and looking down at them. Zhou Tianxiao quacked with anger. Kneel? Chapter 1601. Hypothesis. Master Muen, the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness is truly and deeply sorry. We hope that we can become friends in the future. If you have any requests, we will do our best to help you, said Zhou Tianxiao. He wasn't willing to kneel though. Lin Feng didn't give him face, so how could he? The elders had warned him that he couldn't be hostile with Lin Feng, that he had to control his anger. Zhou Tianxiao wasn't the only one who was angry. The other members from the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness were as well. Jin Shenjun was smiling in a resplendent way though. He hoped those guys wouldn't get too close to Lin Feng. The Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness tried to kill me last time, and they were arrogant. They even broke my illusion deployment spell. Now, I asked you to kneel and show your respect, but since you don't want to, just piss off, said Lin Feng impolitely. Zhou Tianxiao and the others looked dumbstruck. If they went back empty-handed, their superiors would be less than pleased with them. If we kneel, will you forgive us and the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness? Asked Zhou Tianxiao, closing his eyes as he tried to hold in the anger. Kneel and we'll talk about it afterwards, said Lin Feng. Lin Feng didn't think that Zhou Tianxiao would accept being humiliated like that. Zhou Tianxiao was much more impressive than Zhou Tianrua. All right, said Zhou Tianxiao. Then he said to his compatriots, kneel down. He got down on his knees and lowered his head. The Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness is infinitely sorry for what we've done to you. We hope you can forgive us. Even with this, Lin Feng still wasn't satisfied. Zhou Tianxiao was kneeling only because he thought Lin Feng was from the Everlasting Palace. He needed to oppress him more. He needed to make him question himself about what it means to be a real cultivator. Zhou Tianxiao raised his head, remaining silent as he looked at Lin Feng, waiting for his answer. Lin Feng smiled and said, piss off. Piss off. Zhou Tianxiao started fuming with anger. What a humiliation. Flames of fury filled his heart, to the point where it hurt. He had knelt, but Muen was still telling him to piss off. He slowly stood up and bowed before Lin Feng. We disturbed you, but no matter what you think, the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness is truly sorry. We hope to see you again in the future. He bowed before Lin Feng once more, and then left with his team. Lin Feng looked at Zhou Tianxiao, who was expressionless. Take care, everyone, said Jin Shenjun, smiling indifferently. The great celestial palace of thoughtfulness people were on the brink of snapping from anger. If Lin Feng hadn't been a member of the Everlasting Palace, and hadn't been such a strong deployment spellcaster, they would have killed him long ago. After the cultivators from the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness left, Jin Shenjun walked to Lin Feng and asked while smiling, "Master Muan, do you need me to do anything?" "Nothing. I just want to practice my deployment spells. Don't let anyone disturb me again," said Lin Feng to Jin Shenjun. "All right, I'll see you later," said Jin Shenjun while slowly leaving. After Jin Shenjun left, Lin Feng frowned, looking rather pensive. The great celestial palace of thoughtfulness sent people to apologize, and they even knelt in front of me. They saw what happened yesterday. I wonder whether it's a good or bad thing, thought Lin Feng. Someone landed next to Lin Feng. It was Mui. "What are you thinking about?" asked Mui, smiling when he saw that Lin Feng looked perplexed. "I'm thinking about yesterday. The deployment spell was too powerful. I wonder whether..." Lin Feng stopped talking when he saw that Mui smiled and said, "Indeed, your deployment spell was astonishing. Many people will talk about it even farther away from here. Luckily, the Everlasting Palace is in Xixiang City, which is very far away. News won't spread that far in such a short time." Mui never asked Lin Feng about the 9 great celestial castles, but he had spent so much time with him that he understood that there are some tensions between Lin Feng and Celestial Qi Castle, the Palace of Medicinal Kings, and the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness. Otherwise, Lin Feng wouldn't have done all that. "Maybe I'm thinking about it too much, but it's better to be careful," said Lin Feng smiling. Even though Xixiang City was very far away, maybe the Everlasting Palace was still going to hear about it. The 9 great celestial castles couldn't go to the Everlasting Palace to ask about it, but if they learnt that a cultivator of the 8th Zunqi layer had killed several emperors, then they would send some of their people to see what that was going on. "You're right. It's better to be vigilant and plan ahead," said Mui, nodding. Even though the 9 great celestial castles weren't as large as the Everlasting Palace, they still had some influence in the region. They had access to some information. There were many ways to figure out that it was Lin Feng, but Lin Feng's deployment spells were too convincing. "I'm going to make some more talismans," said Lin Feng, nodding at Mui. Then he went back to his room. Mui looked at Lin Feng's back as he left, smiling and shaking his head. Lin Feng was very mysterious, but it had nothing to do with Mui, so he minded his own business. At least, Lin Feng was serious about deployment cultivation and helped him with his own. Lin Feng spent another calm and peaceful day. Nobody came to disturb him. On the second day, outside of Celestial Qi Castle's territory, Qi Yinlei and some people from Qingdi Mountain appeared in the clouds. Qi Yinsheng and Qi Yuchun were in the group. "Master Qi Yinlei," said Jin Shenjun, rising into the sky and bowing. Qi Yinlei had come back, and because he was a cultivator from the Everlasting Palace, he was well respected. Even though he didn't have a high social status there, he was still a member. "Very good. Master Qi Yinlei and Master Muan are here at the same time," thought Jin Shenjun. "Yinlei, you came back," said Qi Yinshao, also rising into the air. He was smiling in a resplendent way. They had the same blood, so they were like brothers. "Brother Yinshao," said Qi Yinlei, smiling and nodding at everybody, one after the other. Then they rose up in the air together. "Yinlei, how come you didn't tell me you were coming back?" "Some things happened at the Everlasting Palace, and a lot of people left. Now they're hunting for someone. I stayed in Qingdi Mountain for a while, and now I thought I had to see how the clan was doing," said Qi Yinlei, laughing. "All right, I've heard that a deployment spell caster from the Everlasting Palace was here. Tell me the details." Qi Yinlei was skeptical. The Everlasting Palace was big, and there were many people. If Muan had been an ordinary cultivator, having never heard of him would have been normal. However, Muan, with the strength of the Zunqi layer, could cast great deployment spells capable of killing emperors and posing a threat to medium-level emperors. There were only a few people like that in the Everlasting Palace, and they were very, very famous. However, Muan wasn't one of them. Of course, Qi Yinlei also thought of the possibility that this person had lied about their name when they came there. You've even heard of that, said Qi Yinxiao smiling. Then he explained everything to Qi Yinlei, how Lin Feng had cast deployment spells, how Mui had protected him, etc. After that, Qi Yinlei frowned even more. What's wrong? Asked Qi Yinxiao when he saw Qi Yinlei's reaction. I'm almost sure we don't have anyone called Master Mu-En in the Everlasting Palace, but I need to see him to be sure, said Qi Yinlei. Qi Yinxiao was dumbstruck. They didn't have anyone called Mu-En? Yinlei, think carefully. The issue is of the highest importance. You have to think carefully before we make any final decisions, said Qi Yinxiao. He also had doubts at the beginning, but because Lin Feng's deployment spells were so powerful, he no longer doubted anything. Besides, he didn't want to have Mu-En as an enemy, even if he was faking his identity. In the Everlasting Palace, we have some Zun-level cultivators who can pose a threat to emperors, but the one you're talking about can even kill medium-level emperors. There are only a few with such talents. I could be wrong though, but when I see him, I'll tell you, said Qi Yinlei honestly. All right, I'll take you there, but you need to be friendly, and you can't tell him you're from the Everlasting Palace, said Qi Yinxiao. Besides, if he's not from the Everlasting Palace, don't attack him immediately. We must be careful when dealing with such a strong deployment spellcaster. I understand, said Qi Yinlei nodding. He was already thinking of ideas to investigate about Mu-En. They slowly walked towards Yaoyin Peak, but they were eager to hear what Mu-En was going to say. Chapter 1602. Dangerous Conversation. Yaoyin Peak. Qi Yinxiao and Qi Yinlei stopped at the bridge. They watched as Mui cast illusion deployment spells on all the fake mountains, but they didn't see Lin Feng anywhere. Master Mui. Qi Yinxiao and the others arrived with several people. Qi Yinxiao, Qi Yinlei, Qi Yinsheng, Jin Chenjun and Qi Yuchen. Mui turned around and looked at them, noting that there were some people he didn't recognize. Master Mui, I'd like to introduce you to my brothers Qi Yinlei, Qi Yinsheng and Qi Yuchen, said Qi Yinxiao smiling. Do you know where Master Mu-En is? Why are you looking for him? Asked Mui. His heart started accelerating as he thought about his last talk with Lin Feng. Qi Yinlei also likes deployment spells, so when he heard about Master Mu-En, he asked if he could meet him. He has some questions about deployment spells, said Qi Yinxiao. He looked absolutely normal and smiled, as if what they were asking was perfectly harmless. I see. I'll go ask for you. Mui glanced at Qi Yinlei and then left. A few minutes later, he landed before Lin Feng's door and knocked. Lin Feng said, "Come in." Mui entered the room, just as Lin Feng finished another talisman. Lin Feng put it away and looked at Mui. Mu-En, Celestial Qi Castle brought a guy who says he likes deployment spells and is asking to see you, said Mui using telepathy. There were 3 strangers, and Qi Yinlei is a medium-level emperor. I don't know why he came here. Lin Feng nodded, seemingly understanding what was going on. He stood up and said, "Since we're the guests of honor, we must go and see him. Let's go." Then, they both walked out. Master Mu-En, said Qi Yinxiao waving and smiling. Lin Feng nodded and smiled. He looked normal, as if he had nothing to hide. Master Yinxiao, why did you come here? Asked Lin Feng smiling. He glanced at the 3 people. He knew Qi Yinsheng and Qi Yuchen, but he didn't know Qi Yinlei. Master Mu-En, that's Qi Yinlei. He is like you in that he practices deployment spells. Master Mu-En is a Zun cultivator, but he can kill emperors, so I don't deserve being mentioned in the same sentence as him. I just came to say hello, said Qi Yinlei politely. Master Mu-En, I've been practicing deployment spells for about 10 years, but there are some things that I don't understand at all. You're so young and already so strong. Could you maybe teach me some things? I could teach you something, sure. Carve some simple deployment marks and show me what you know, said Lin Feng. He didn't know what that person's goal was, so he had to be very careful. All right, please sit down, said Qi Yinlei pointing to a stone chair. Lin Feng sat down. Qi Yinlei started carving marks in the table in front of them, using cosmic energies. Qi Yinlei was very precise as he focused on each stroke. Great deployment spells are made of smaller deployment spells. Small deployment spells are made of holy marks which are interconnected to one another, and holy marks are made of deployment marks, which are intertwining. Each stroke must be perfect and precise. However, I'm too slow. It gets even more difficult with each mark I add. I also have the impression that controlling them is difficult. Qi Yunlei carved a small deployment spell, then lights flashed. After carving the deployment spell, he looked at Lin Feng and waited for his reply. Master, you have an advanced understanding of deployment spells. As you said, you must control the strokes perfectly to control them properly. Concerning great deployment spells, you need to be talented to carve them, said Lin Feng smiling. He put his hand on the table and suddenly, marks flashed, causing terrifying energies to emerge. The marks started intertwining. There seemed to be 2 small deployment spells on the table, but each were made from different types of strength. In other words, Lin Feng's marks were better. Qi Yunlei was speechless. Lin Feng was telling him that he wasn't talented. He was telling him that to become stronger, he could only work diligently. But Qi Yunlei couldn't refute him, because Lin Feng's marks were perfect. He had almost forgotten why he was there after watching Lin Feng carve his marks. But Qi Yunlei smiled wryly and said, Master Muin, you're amazing. I practiced so hard, and I am still so far behind you. My teacher is Master Jingfeng from the Everlasting Palace. I don't know if you've heard of him? Qi Yunlei was smiling indifferently, but that question was crucial. I just follow my teacher and I practice hard. He always tells me not to pay attention to what happens in the Everlasting Palace. So I don't even know who Master Jingfeng is. You must think I'm ridiculous, said Lin Feng smiling. Qi Yunlei's heart started pounding. Actually, there was no Master Jingfeng in the Everlasting Palace. He just made him up. However, Lin Feng's reply was very well worded. I see. You're so talented though, so I must admire you. I would never think you're ridiculous, said Qi Yunlei shaking his head and smiling wryly. The Everlasting Palace is in the northern part of Xixiang City, and now other influential groups keep rising. Some sects also want to catch up with us, which is why the Everlasting Palace wants to find the Everlasting Celestial Emperor's palace. Master Muin, you're so talented. I'm sure that someday you'll be as strong as the Everlasting Celestial Emperor. My teacher doesn't allow me to get involved in those things. I am only allowed to practice constantly and travel to gain experience. We'll see if you're right once I become stronger. Concerning the Everlasting Palace, I'm not stupid. I don't know much, but I know where it is, said Lin Feng in a calm way. He knew that Qi Yunlei was investigating him. He was doubting that Lin Feng was a disciple from the Everlasting Palace. Otherwise he wouldn't have asked such questions. However, things were happening a lot faster than he'd expected. Muyi and Lin Feng had just discussed those things the day before. Sorry, what did I say? Said Qi Yunlei. He didn't know what to say. I don't want to disturb you any longer, Master Muin. All right, said Lin Feng nodding indifferently. Then Qi Yunlei and the others left. After they left, Lin Feng frowned and glanced at Muyi. Qi Yunlei kept making mistakes. The Everlasting Palace is not in the northern part of the city, and nobody is threatening them. I wouldn't be surprised to learn that Master Jingfeng doesn't even exist, said Muyi to Lin Feng using telepathy. He had told Lin Feng how to reply a few seconds before, using telepathy. Lin Feng nodded and whispered, They'll find out about us soon. He said that he knew nothing because he only practiced with his teacher, but that was difficult to prove in an argument. Muyi nodded. He also realized the situation was getting dangerous. On the other side, Qi Yunlei walked while thinking quickly. Yunlei, what do you think? Asked Qi Yunxiao. I just lied about everything. When talking about his teacher, he said he only followed his teacher. If I had asked who it was, he would have probably said his teacher doesn't allow him to tell anyone who he is. That's a perfect answer to use if he were lying. I think he might not be from the Everlasting Palace. Qi Yunxiao and the others looked skeptical. What was Muin's purpose if he wasn't from the Everlasting Palace? Even if that's true, he's still a very capable deployment spellcaster. Let's go to the main palace and discuss this, said Qi Yunxiao. Chapter 1603. Great deployment spells. Qi Yunxiao was sitting in one of Qi Castle's castles, with some others who looked glum. They didn't know what to think about Lin Feng. Before, everybody found Master Muen's arrogance and bad temper normal. But now it seems like he provoked the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness and the palace of medicinal kings intentionally. So on the other day, when he caused trouble at the palace of medicinal kings, it was on purpose, said Qi Yunxiao frowning. If that's true, if he really wanted to provoke the palace of medicinal kings on purpose, what does he want from us? Asked Jin Chenjun. Because of Lin Feng, there were now tensions between Celestial Qi Castle and the palace of medicinal kings. If it's really that way, then he also means to harm us with his grand scheme. Everybody was getting nervous. Qi Yunxiao looked at Qi Yunlei and asked, Yunlei, are you sure that Master Muen is not a member from the Everlasting Palace? Almost entirely sure, otherwise he wouldn't need to conceal such things, said Qi Yunlei nodding. Qi Yunxiao's eyes twinkled. He looked at Jin Chenjun and said, Go and find Master Mi. Master Mi. Jin Chenjun knew what he was implying. He then immediately left the hall. They were going to take drastic measures. Since Master Muen wasn't a member of the Everlasting Palace, they could try and keep such a strong deployment spellcaster for themselves. However, they still had doubts. Master Muen and Celestial Qi Castle hadn't had any problems before. So why would he mean them harm? Now they had to wait for Master Mi. He'd know how to solve the problem. Yunsheng, bring Emperor Dong and Emperor Qi to the center of our territory, and have someone guard the area. Master Muen can use deployment spells to protect the area. But we must be very careful, said Qi Yunxiao. He had seen how terrifying Master Muen's deployment spells were. I understand. Qi Yunsheng nodded and left. Qi Yunxiao was waiting for Master Mi. They would be able to go to Yao Yin Peak with Master Mi and control him. That way, they'd have a powerful deployment spellcaster with them, and even if there were tensions between them and the Palace of Medicinal Kings, it didn't matter because it was worth it. Lin Feng knew nothing about that, as he was still studying deployment spells. Time passed slowly before someone moved in Lin Feng's direction wearing a mask. Master Mi, he's here. Qi Yunxiao and the others had been waiting for Master Mi. They rose up in the air when they saw him. Master Mi, said Qi Yunxiao and the others politely. Master Mi nodded at them and gazed into the distance. Where is he? Asked Master Mi calmly. On Yao Yin Peak, said Qi Yunxiao. Qi Yunxiao, Qi Yunlei, Master Mi and Jin Chenjun left together. 3 medium-level emperor and 1 low-level emperor. 2 of the medium-level emperor controlled empty space cosmic energies. That way, even if Mui protected Muen, he wouldn't be able to do much. After all, those 3 people weren't ordinary medium-level emperor, especially Master Mi. He was a step above them. Very quickly, the 4 of them arrived on Yao Yin Peak. At that moment, Lin Feng was still in the pavilion. He had broken the stone table and was carving things on the ground. Master Muen, shouted Qi Yunxiao. Even if they were strong, they didn't attack immediately. They first wanted to get close to Lin Feng before they captured him. Lin Feng saw Master Mi and immediately understood that his ruse had ended. Now they wanted to control him too. Master Qi Yunxiao, what brings you here? Asked Lin Feng, pretending he wasn't worried. Master Muen, we want to introduce you to a guest of honor, said Qi Yunxiao. They kept walking towards Lin Feng while talking. Stop, shouted Lin Feng in a sharp way. Qi Yunxiao and the others suddenly stopped. Then they looked at Lin Feng and said, Master Muen, what's wrong? If you want to introduce someone to me, you can do it from there, said Lin Feng. Qi Yunxiao looked at Lin Feng, guessing that from his sudden change in temperament that they'd been found out. Hee. Qi Yunxiao smiled in a cold way. Suddenly, he released cosmic energies. He didn't need to hide anything anymore, since Muen understood what was going on. Master Muen, you pretended to be a disciple from the Everlasting Palace, but why? Asked Qi Yunxiao directly. To cause trouble, of course. For example, I got you and the Palace of Medicinal Kings to become enemies, said Lin Feng smiling. We expected as much, said Qi Yunxiao in a cold way. Why did you do that? I enjoy creating chaos, said Lin Feng, giggling like a madman. I see. But now you'll have to stay here forever, said Qi Yunxiao. He then threw himself at Lin Feng. Lin Feng jumped and suddenly, golden lights flashed underneath his feet. Prevent them from escaping, said Qi Yunxiao. He shook his hand and suddenly, a gigantic hand formed and grabbed Lin Feng. However, at that moment, Mui appeared in front of Lin Feng and punched the air. It became distorted before lights surrounded Lin Feng and Mui. Those golden lights then disappeared. Deployment spell. The hand broke the pavilion into pieces, but the lit pattern under Lin Feng's feet was still there. Lin Feng had carved an empty space deployment spell, which could teleport things. Go now, chase them. Master Mi suddenly started running down the fake mountain. Lin Feng's deployment spell wasn't very powerful, so it could only allow him to teleport a short distance. He was probably still in Celestial Qi Castle's territory. They had guessed right. Even though he hadn't managed to cast a full teleportation deployment spell, it was still capable. Lin Feng was teleported near the central area, but was immediately upset after he noticed some guards were protecting the shattering deployment spell. Emperor Dong, Qi Yunsheng, and the others looked at Lin Feng and Mui in a cold way. Master Mui, said Lin Feng. Mui punched the air. His punch emitted whistling sounds and caused space to become distorted. Broken space cosmic energy, be careful, said Emperor Dong while jumping forwards. Lights surrounded them, but the broken space energy was too powerful and broke their protection. Back! Those people moved back, but then Lin Feng threw talismans at them. Explode! Shouted Lin Feng furiously. Emperor Dong and the others rose up in the air, wanting to escape the talisman's range, but they couldn't do anything against those talismans. However, when they rose up in the air, they realized that the talismans hadn't exploded. Lin Feng had fooled them. Stop him! Shouted Qi Yunsheng in the distance. However, Lin Feng was already at the center. He put both hands on the ground and suddenly, his deployment spell became dazzling as marks appeared. In a short time, all of Celestial Qi Castle's territory became dazzling. Dodge! Everybody fly higher up in the air! Shouted Qi Yunsheng extremely loudly. Then they rose up in the air, while Qi Yunsheng and Emperor Dong had already started escaping. They both released empty space cosmic energy to move even faster. I'll let you enjoy the deployment spell a bit more, said Lin Feng, fully activating the deployment spell just like he had the other day. How can we escape? Mui was next to Lin Feng, while all the strong cultivators from Celestial Qi Castle were escaping and releasing empty space energies. They were extremely fast, much faster than the cultivators from the Palace of Medicinal Kings before. Therefore, if they didn't manage to kill those people with this attack, then they'd be in trouble. There, said Lin Feng jumping. Suddenly, destructive energies emerged, but this time he attacked the ground, creating a gigantic abyssal hole. You also cast a deployment spell which pointed downwards. Mui was astonished, he couldn't believe his eyes. It's another shattering deployment spell, which I created at the same time as the other one, said Lin Feng. Let's go. Celestial Qi Castle won't let us off, so we can't waste time. Chapter 1604. Emperor Qi's heart. Outside of Celestial Qi Castle's territory, people raised their heads and saw Lin Feng's spell activate again. What was going on? Why was Master Muan's deployment spell activated? After the deployment spell slowly weakened, the crowd saw a group of people from Celestial Qi Castle in the sky. They looked furious, and they were staring at the gigantic abyssal hole. Celestial Qi Castle has been damaged once again, and what is Master Mi doing there? Thought some people when they recognized the guy wearing a mask. They knew that Master Mi was very strong and had a high status within Celestial Qi Castle. Maybe Master Mi wants to control Master Muan, and then Master Muan activated the deployment spell and left. Someone reasoned. Don't let him escape, shouted Master Mi. He had seen how explosive Lin Feng's deployment spell was, and he knew how much of a threat Lin Feng posed to them. But even so, he still didn't know why Lin Feng had plotted against them. They could only find that out after they captured him. Go and chase them. I'll go inform people from the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness, so that we can close the city, shouted Qi Yunxiao, while empty space energies surrounded his body. Even though people were far away, cultivators could hear very well, so they heard what Master Mi said clearly. As they had thought, Master Mi wanted to control Master Muan. How come Celestial Qi Castle was acting against the Everlasting Palace? The Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness wasn't far from Celestial Qi Castle, and Qi Yinsheng was quick. It didn't take long for him to reach the depths of the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness. Qi Yinshao wants to announce something terrible. Qi Yinshao, what's going on? Asked a medium-level emperor. Master Muan isn't from the Everlasting Palace, he lied. His goal was to cause us trouble by making us all enemies. Now he has been uncovered, and is trying to escape. We need help. We need to close the city and prevent him from leaving. Maybe we can stop him in Buzhou Mountain, said Qi Yinshao. Cough. Zhou Tianshao was very surprised to hear all that. The ground shook as Zhou Tianshao released golden holy qi in the form of a sharp sword. He had knelt before Muan, and the latter had told him to piss off. He couldn't describe how upset he was now. Are you sure? Asked the medium-level emperor from the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness. Muan had humiliated them a few times. Then they had apologized to him. And now Celestial Qi Castle was telling them that he wasn't from the Everlasting Palace. It was too much to take in at once. Brother Zhou, do you think I would joke about something like this? Said Qi Yunshao in a grave and solemn way. He then left, wanting nothing more than to kill Muyi and Muan. Qi Yunshao was right. Lin Feng and Muyi were moving in the dark, rather slowly though. Once they came out, they appeared in the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness, and found that Qi Yinlei and Emperor Dong were there already. Of course, at that moment, Lin Feng and Muyi had already changed their faces. The new faces Lin Feng and Muyi were using were faces Lin Feng had already used in the small world. But in the great world, almost no one could recognize them. They also changed their clothes just in case. Lin Feng, you go first, said Muyi to Lin Feng using telepathy. Lin Feng nodded. Emperor Dong immediately noticed that Lin Feng was a cultivator of the 8th Zunqi layer, so he fixedly stared at him for a while. But then he noticed that Lin Feng's qi was filled with life qi, and it wasn't that powerful. After thinking about it, Emperor Dong gave up thinking that he was Muan. Muyi followed Lin Feng from a distance as to reduce any suspicions. He had admired Lin Feng before, but these masks were also praiseworthy. Of course, Lin Feng was also an expert at concealing his identity. He was releasing life energy on purpose, to fool people like Emperor Dong. Lin Feng didn't move too fast, trying to act like he was an average cultivator. Oh no! Celestial Qi Castle has joined hands with the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness. If they seal the area, then we're going to be in trouble, thought Lin Feng. Master Muyi, we can't leave because they're sealing the area, said Lin Feng to Muyi using telepathy. The 9 great celestial castles had an interesting geographical characteristic, in which the only way to leave was through the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness. It is very dangerous, thought Lin Feng. If the strong cultivators from the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness attacked, he'd be doomed. They can't seal the area forever. Let's just wait here, said Muyi indifferently. They had already changed their faces, and there were billions of people in that city. With time, they would wear down their defenses. While they were talking, a mirror flashed. That mirror. Luckily, Lin Feng and Muyi had changed their faces. Otherwise that mirror would have found them just now. Master Muyi, let's find a guest house to stay at, said Lin Feng using telepathy. The city center of the 9 great celestial castles and the buffer zone were already chaotic. Master Muan wasn't a disciple of the Everlasting Palace, and Celestial Qi Castle was chasing him. So the Palace of Medicinal Kings also started looking for them after they heard the news. The white-bearded emperor was exceptionally upset. A few hours later, between the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness and the buffer zone, the strong cultivator from Celestial Qi Castle put his mirror away with a look of defeat. Can't you find them? Asked Qi Yinlei. I looked at the entire buffer zone and the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness, but I can't find them. I'm guessing that they must have used a spell to change their faces, maybe an illusion. Of course, maybe they went to another castle, But I don't think that's the case. He explained. Celestial Chi Castle is ridiculous. First, they made friends with the deployment spellcaster, and now they're causing us all so much trouble. Celestial Chi Castle is a joke, said the white-bearded emperor from the palace of medicinal kings mockingly. He wouldn't forget about what Celestial Chi Castle had done to them anytime soon. At that moment, Emperor Chi's eyes flashed with insight. He suddenly thought of someone who could change his face. How could he ever forget that person? The only problem was that person probably had the strength of the 9th Zun Chi layer, already after all this time. Celestial Chi Castle, Palace of Medicinal Kings, Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness. Emperor Chi was thinking. But deployment spells, thought Emperor Chi. His heart was racing. Bronze plates. Back then, Lin Feng had obtained the everlasting bronze plates, and there were rumors that some people had found the great imperial everlasting palace. Deployment spells indeed. He didn't level up because he studied deployment spells, thought Emperor Chi. Deployment spells were difficult to learn, but Lin Feng was extremely talented. If he had obtained the everlasting celestial emperor's deployment spells, then that would explain everything. Chapter 1605. Plot. Emperor Dong saw that Emperor Chi looked strange, so he asked, "What are you thinking about?" Emperor Chi's heart was racing, but he was sure he was right. Had Lin Feng already become a terrifying deployment spellcaster? "Father, I think that Muan might be someone we know," said Emperor Chi. "Who?" Qi Yin Xiao immediately stood in front of Emperor Chi. "Lin Feng," said Emperor Chi. The atmosphere suddenly became quiet. Of course, he remembered Lin Feng, that obstinate and unruly guy Emperor Shun Yu had taken away. He had reappeared almost 2 years later with the Yao Yi amulet, and was even more arrogant than before. Lin Feng. The white-bearded emperor looked furious. Zhou Tianxiao released golden holy qi unintentionally after he remembered kneeling down to him. "Why do you think it's Lin Feng?" Qi Yanxiao and the others were getting upset just thinking about it. Lin Feng has some techniques which allow him to change his face and qi. Besides, he doesn't like Celestial Qi Castle, the Palace of Medicinal Kings, and the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness. Lin Feng made those people from the Palace of Medicinal Kings kneel down to him before. Emperor Qi glanced at the white-bearded emperor. The white-bearded emperor nodded as he remembered that. Besides, back then, Lin Feng had only broken through to the 8th Zun Chi layer, and during the past 3 years, he hasn't progressed. That would make sense, since if he'd been studying deployment spells the entire time. In the end, when he saw us and Master Me, he immediately understood what was going on, and used a deployment spell to escape. He recognized Master Me because he is Lin Feng. He knows who Master Me and what he does, explained Emperor Qi. Lin Feng managed to learn so much about deployment spells in just 3 years? Asked Qi Yanxiao. Master, I remember something that happened some years ago. Back then Lin Feng had only broken through to the Tianqi layer, said Emperor Qi. He then continued. Back then in the small world in Fortune Shrine, the diviner told Lin Feng his future would certainly be incredible, and that he had very rare abilities. I see. If that's the case, then we have to kill him, no matter the cost, said Qi Yanxiao. Since it's Lin Feng, do you know what we should do against him? Asked Qi Yanxiao to Emperor Dong and Emperor Qi. They knew Lin Feng the best since they had lived in the small world. Unless he shows up willingly, I'm not sure there's anything we can do, said Emperor Qi. Willingly? Asked Qi Yanxiao frowning. He's not stupid. He won't come out to commit suicide. We can try something else then, said Emperor Qi. You control some of Lin Feng's disciples and friends. Threaten them, and maybe then Lin Feng will show up. I don't think he'd take such risks for a few friends, said Qi Yanxiao. Cultivators cherish their own lives, not others. Master, we can try. We can give him a few days, and if he doesn't show up, we'll kill his friends. We can kill 1 person each day. After we kill 2 people, if he still hasn't show up, then that means he won't show up at all. We should only kill the weakest ones, so that we still have the strongest ones under our control, said Qi Qianxing. Qi Yanxiao nodded. All right, let's try that. Let's disperse, and in 3 days, If Lin Feng still hasn't shown up, we can kill his friends. Roger, Master. We'll spread the news, said Emperor Qi and the others. Would Lin Feng show up though? Lin Feng, if you show up, we'll bury you alive, thought Zhou Tianxiao. At that moment, Lin Feng was resting in a guest house while making talismans. He had to prepare himself for the worst. He didn't know about Emperor Qi's evil plot just yet. Mui stayed in a room next to Lin Feng's, but he wasn't in his room. Instead, he walked around and listened to people's conversations. With his strength, he could easily leave. Besides, Celestial Qi Castle wanted Lin Feng, not him. However, he had become good friends with Lin Feng since they left the small world together. A few hours later, Mui came back to the guest house with some bad news. People were plotting against Lin Feng. He didn't know that Lin Feng's friends were imprisoned in Celestial Qi Castle. Now it made sense that Lin Feng hated them. Mui walked to Lin Feng's courtyard to tell him about it. Lin Feng would have to make his own decision about what they'd do. Mui knocked at Lin Feng's door. "Come in," said Lin Feng. He stopped making talismans as Mui came in. Once he recognized Mui, Lin Feng smiled and said, "Master Mui, what are you doing here?" Mui and Lin Feng had agreed that they had to stay alone to reduce any suspicions about them. "Lin Feng, do you have any friends imprisoned in Celestial Qi Castle?" asked Mui. Lin Feng nodded. "Master Mui, how do you know?" "Celestial Qi Castle is plotting against you. They said that in 3 days, if you don't go to Celestial Qi Castle, they'll kill your friends one each day." Lin Feng visibly shuddered in anger after heard Mui. His eyes turned pitch black, and some qi emerged from his body involuntarily. "Celestial Qi Castle." Lin Feng clenched his fists. "Emperor Dong or Emperor Qi," said Lin Feng while grinding his teeth. They were the only ones who knew him well enough. Mui saw Lin Feng's reaction, so he understood what he was thinking. He asked, "What do you intend to do, Lin Feng?" Lin Feng hesitated. If he showed up, he wouldn't be able to escape, but if he didn't go, his friends would die. Lin Feng smiled and asked, "Master Mui, what would you do if you were me?" "I don't know," said Mui, shaking his head. "Master Mui, you go back. I'll continue making these talismans," said Lin Feng. Mui nodded and left the room. "Lin Feng, relax. Don't let the outside world influence you. You're very talented, and someday you'll reach the clouds. When that day comes, you'll be able to get your revenge." Then, Mui closed the door and left Lin Feng alone. Chapter 1606. Celestial Summer Castle. After Mui went back to his room, Lin Feng was completely alone. When Mui asked him if he had friends imprisoned in Celestial Qi Castle, Lin Feng had already guessed what was going on. Now they knew he was Lin Feng, and the only one who could have guessed that would be Emperor Dong and Emperor Qi. If he showed up, it'd prove it was him. But even if he didn't admit it, they'd still kill his friends because they were sure it was him. However, Lin Feng also wondered whether they'd dare kill him or not. After all, he was now a member of Yaoyi Island. If I show up as a deployment spellcaster, Celestial Qi Castle will kill me, thought Lin Feng. They wouldn't let someone live if that person could pose a threat to their security. Phew. Lin Feng continued thinking about it while continuing to make talismans. That night, an invisible and inaudible shadow crossed the courtyard. One couldn't see it unless there was light, and even then, they'd only see a shadow on the ground. Inside the buffer zone, on the side of Celestial Summer Castle, things were very calm. People were either sleeping or practicing cultivation. However, that shadow appeared and started sleeking about. In one of the rooms, Xiaoyu said, "Who?" "It's me, Lin Feng," said a voice. Xiaoyu was surprised. Lin Feng? What did he want from him? "Come in," said Xiaoyu indifferently. A shadow appeared in front of Xiaoyu. He smiled and said, "Master Muen, you're here, you're brave." Since Lin Feng was there, it proved the rumors were true. Lin Feng was Muen. "I came to see you, master. Why would I need to be brave for that?" said Lin Feng, smiling. Celestial Qi Castle, the Palace of Medicinal Kings, and the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness are looking for you everywhere. Are you not afraid that we could capture you and hand you over to them? Asked Xiaoyu in a cold way. Would it be benefit you to do that, master? Asked Lin Feng. So what do you want? asked Xiaoyu, standing up. He looked enthusiastic. I want to make a deal with you. In 3 days, Celestial Qi Castle plans to kill me, but I want you to attack and take me away safely, said Lin Feng. Xiaoyu was surprised and asked, You want me to offend 3 groups of influence? What do you have for me in exchange? Muyi and I have obtained 2 of the everlasting Celestial Emperor's great deployment spells, the Shattering and the Illusion deployment spells. You must have heard of the explosive power of the Shattering deployment spell. You can have both, so what do you think? Lin Feng asked. Besides, Celestial Summer Castle doesn't need to show up. You just have to protect me and help me leave safely. That explains how he's become so strong. He obtained some of the everlasting Celestial Emperor's great deployment spells, thought Xiaoyu. He was tempted, of course. With the strength of the Zunqi layer, Lin Feng had managed to kill 7 emperors. If the Celestial Summer Castle could get those, they'd become a lot stronger, and their territory would be better protected. What if I captured you now and made you give me the deployment spell? Asked Xiaoyu. Lin Feng must have known that Xiaoyu was strong enough to do that. I told Muyi I was coming here, and if I don't go back, he'll inform everyone, including Yaoyi Island. If Celestial Qi Castle wants to kill me, they have their own reasons, however. If you decide to kill me, because of the deployment spells I have, I don't think Yaoyi Island will be happy, said Lin Feng calmly. No wonder you're not worried. What if I can't protect you when the right time comes? Asked Xiaoyu. Master, if you accept, I'll transmit the illusion deployment spell to you right away. Then, after you help me leave safely, I'll transmit the shattering deployment spell to you. Of course, if I realize that you didn't do your best on the D-Day, you can forget about it. However, if you want to obtain my illusion deployment spell, and then don't appear on the D-Day, even if I die, Yaoyi Island will remember you, and will come to settle accounts, explained Lin Feng. Now I need an answer. I need to go and find some other people as well. It seemed like Lin Feng had spent some time planning this out. Alright, it's a deal, said Xiaoyu, nodding. Great, I'll transmit the illusion deployment spell to you now then, said Lin Feng, condensing his godly awareness. It then emerged from his third eye, and moved to Xiaoyu's third eye. Master, I'm off. Lin Feng then quickly left the room, and disappeared in the darkness. Xiaoyu left the room and looked at the shadow, whispering, He's incredible. Such young people are rare. Even if we don't make friends with him, we can't be enemies. Celestial Qi Castle, and the others wanted to kill Lin Feng. But who knew what he would do in the future? Lin Feng left Celestial Summer Castle, and went to his second target. Muyi was in front of Lin Feng's door, but it was closed. Muyi looked at the sky, noting that the sun was high above the city. The weather was good, but Lin Feng didn't seem to care about appreciating it. Muyi had mixed feelings. He was sad for Lin Feng, and at the same time, he was happy that he didn't go. It was difficult to explain. What is he doing? Whispered Muyi. He wanted to inspect Lin Feng's room with his awareness. He hadn't disturbed Lin Feng the past few days, but now he wanted to see what he was doing, or how he was feeling. He opened the door and looked astonished. Where was Lin Feng? How come? Muyi was surprised. He hadn't heard Lin Feng leave. He had been observing Lin Feng's house for 2 days, and he hadn't seen anything. Moron, thought Muyi. Maybe Lin Feng left the other day and hadn't come back. He was convinced that Lin Feng hadn't ran. So there was only one reason. Lin Feng didn't want Muyi to be involved, so he hadn't told him he was going. What a guy, thought Muyi, smiling wryly. Then, he disappeared from there, and immediately flew towards Celestial Qi Castle's buffer zone. Muyi wasn't the only there. Countless people knew about Master Mu En and Lin Feng now. The one who had caused trouble 4 to 5 years ago had come back and pretended to be someone else. Then he tried to cause trouble between Celestial Qi Castle and the Palace of Medicinal Kings. Are those Lin Feng's friends? They look extraordinarily strong. At least they aren't any weaker than the younger generation from Celestial Qi Castle. They have potential, thought the crowd. Would Lin Feng show up though? Many people thought that Lin Feng would die if he showed up. Emperor Dong, Emperor Qi, Qi Qianxing. They were all there looking at Yuan Fei and 3 other disciples from Tiantai in a cold way. Would this work? Strong cultivators from the Palace of Medicinal Kings and the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness were there too. If Lin Feng showed up, they'd make sure he died. Chapter 1607. Kidnapping Lin Feng. Emperor Dong took a step forwards and glanced at the crowd. Lin Feng could change his face, so he might be in the crowd. Lin Feng, now you're here, just come out, said Emperor Dong. Everybody heard him, even those who were far away. Emperor Dong's robe fluttered in the wind, and he was smiling a cold way. If Lin Feng didn't come out, they were going to kill his friends. Master Me. Emperor Dong turned around and bowed before Master Me. Master Me looked at Yuan Fei and the others. You four fight against each other. When one person dies, stop. Yuan Fei and the others' mouths twitched. They glanced at each other, and even though they didn't want to, they had no choice but to obey Master Me. Qi Yun Xiao, Emperor Dong, Emperor Qi and Jin Shen Jun guarded the surroundings. Lin Feng won't come, thought the crowd. The probability that Lin Feng would come was small. Everybody knew that, but they still came. However, at that moment, a silhouette rose up in the air from the crowd. He was wearing a white robe, he looked handsome, and had long black hair. Lin Feng, it's you, said Emperor Qi. He had guessed right. Muan was Lin Feng. Lin Feng, Zhou Tianxiao will kill you, shouted Zhou Tianxiao furiously. It was Lin Feng. Other members from Celestial Qi Castle and the Palace of Medicinal Kings were all staring at Lin Feng. I am here. Master Me, make them stop fighting, said Lin Feng. Master Me waved and said, move back. Yuan Fei was bleeding. He looked up at Lin Feng with bloodshot eyes. He looked sad because he was being controlled. He was sad because his friend, whom he considered a brother, had come to die for him. However, what he felt in his heart different from what he thought rationally. His soul was sealed, and he could only listen to orders. Ban Rua and the others felt the same. They felt humiliated, but they could only listen to Master Mi's orders. I'm very surprised, Lin Feng. I can't believe you're Master Muan, said the white-bearded man from the Palace of Medicinal Kings. Lin Feng had killed 7 of his emperors, and would pose a threat to them in the future. Back then, you said you'd make the Palace of Medicinal Kings pay. And now I really think you could do it if it weren't for the fact that you're not going to leave today. Many people rose up in the air behind Lin Feng, blocking his escape. There were a dozen emperors in that group. Don't you fear Yaoyi Island? Asked Lin Feng to the crowd. Of course we do, but do you think you can do whatever you want thanks to Yaoyi Island? Those things are between you and us, not Yaoyi Island and us. Qingdi Mountain won't let Yaoyi Island get involved anyways, said Qi Yinlei. Lin Feng, cripple your own cultivation and we won't kill you. Cripple my own cultivation? Ridiculous, said Lin Feng, smiling coldly. He glanced at Emperor Dong and Emperor Qi and said, you guessed it was me, right? We also came up with the idea of killing your friends to make you show up, and it worked, said Emperor Qi. You will regret that very quickly, said Lin Feng, glaring at Emperor Qi. Then he glanced at the crowd, and his eyes gradually became pitch black. Celestial Qi Castle. Listen to me carefully. If you kill me, fine, but if I leave, don't threaten me using such methods again. If you do, I won't show up. Instead, I will make all of the strong cultivators from Yaoyi Island come and kill you without exception. Lin Feng then released demonic qi which dashed to the skies. Remember what I said. I always follow through on what I say. I'm a demon cultivator, so I don't have emotions, therefore. I hope for you that there won't be a second time. There were 30 powerful emperors there while Lin Feng was alone with Mui. Lin Feng was a demon cultivator, but was he actually emotionless? Why had he shown up if he was emotionless? You think you can escape? Asked Qi Yunxiao. Capture him. A few emperors moved towards Lin Feng, reaching for him. Boom. Suddenly in the distance, black silhouettes appeared and divided themselves into 2 groups of around 10 people. Those people were all emperors. How could Lin Feng persuade around 20 emperors show up? Stop them, shouted Qi Yunxiao furiously. Hurry up and run, shouted one of those people. Do you think you can escape? Qi Yunxiao, the white-bearded emperor from the Palace of Medicinal Kings, and the medium-level emperor from the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness flew forwards. A gigantic hand moved towards Lin Feng, as well as vines and golden holy qi. Lin Feng shook his hands and talismans appeared. He then threw them around and destructive energies surged out. Explode! Lin Feng threw more talismans. He was covered in a cold sweat, because he knew that it would only take a small mistake and he'd die. He moved like the wind using his wind chant. And at the same time those people wearing black clothes flew over to him and protected him. Go! Said one of them hoarsely. Their only goal was to protect Lin Feng. Do you think you can leave? Shouted Qi Yinlei. A golden beam of light appeared. Intertwining golden marks then formed, and a cage made from empty space energies formed. A deployment spell. Celestial Qi Castle also has deployment spellcasters. Even though his deployment spell isn't as powerful as Lin Feng's, he's a medium-level emperor, so his deployment spell must be, at least as strong Lin Feng. Thought the crowd. Cage! Qi Yinlei jumped forwards. Lin Feng, you're going to die. Emperor Dong and Emperor Qi appeared next to him. Emperor Qi was the first one to release cosmic energies. Wind chant. Lin Feng started moving in the direction of Celestial Qi Castle. Where are you going? Asked Emperor Dong, releasing terrifying empty space energies. Lin Feng threw a talisman as he ran away. He knew he couldn't fight against medium-level emperors, and he didn't mind using several talismans at this juncture. Chapter 1608. Difficult to escape. Stop him, shouted Emperor Dong, releasing more cosmic energies. Explode! Lin Feng threw another talisman, then suddenly, he disappeared and reappeared next Qi Qianxing. He made those talismans using empty space strength, but because he could only use abstruse energies to make them, he could only travel a short distance. Qi Qianxing subconsciously shivered after he saw Lin Feng's pitch-black eyes. They contained both death and cursing energies. Empty space fissures. Qi Qianxing released abstruse energies which moved towards Lin Feng. In the Great World, his fissures weren't as powerful as they were in Ba Huang, but still shouldn't be underestimated. Great Earth Destruction. Lin Feng punched the air in Qi Qianxing's direction. Explosion sounded and Qi Qianxing's hand crackled. His arm crackled too. It was feeling sore. Lin Feng was too preoccupied with everything going on around him, otherwise, he could have killed him. He had killed a cultivator, who was much stronger than Qi Qianxing, with the same attack, in the Great Imperial Everlasting Palace. Lin Feng! Shouted Emperor Dong furiously when he heard Qi Qianxing give a horrible shriek. Then a force multiplied by 1,000 oppressed Qi Qianxing, a gigantic hand grabbing his head. The last things he saw were Lin Feng's pitch-black eyes. He was a cultivator at the very top of the Zun Qi layer, but he could barely compete with Lin Feng. Lin Feng had broken his arm in the blink of an eye, and now his life was in Lin Feng's hands. Emperor Dong, Emperor Qi, Qi Yinsheng, and Jin Chenjun surrounded Lin Feng. Let him go, shouted Emperor Dong furiously. Lin Feng was still holding Qi Qianxing by the neck. He looked at Emperor Dong with his pitch-black eyes and said, "If he takes me away safely, I'll think about it." "So he will die," said Lin Feng with a demon voice. "No," shouted Qi Qianxing furiously, and his body started burning. He looked desperate. Was he going to die? Emperor Dong and Emperor Qi didn't know what to do. Die! Whoosh! Lin Feng moved like the wind, this time surprising everybody, because he was moving towards Emperor Dong. Lin Feng was insane. Emperor Dong was a medium-level emperor. So how did Lin Feng plan to attack him? "Don't kill him!" shouted Qi Yinlei furiously to Emperor Dong. Emperor Dong shook his head. He had almost forgotten about Qi Yinlei in that moment. "Even if I don't kill you, I'll cripple your cultivation," thought Emperor Dong. He couldn't kill Lin Feng, so he had to at least cripple his cultivation. "Explode!" shouted Lin Feng furiously. He turned into an illusion, and at the same time, a talisman remained. Boom! A strong wind started blowing as destructive energies surrounded Emperor Dong. Then a loud sound followed. It seemed like Lin Feng's silhouette was going to explode. What's going on? Are there two Lin Fengs? The crowd didn't understand what they were seeing. The one who had thrown a talisman at Emperor Dong, and the one who was attacking Emperor Dong were two different people. Lin Feng was bleeding and covered with sweat. The energies around him were too powerful. If Emperor Dong's attack had completely reached him, it would have crippled his cultivation. Piss off! Emperor Dong released more energies, but Lin Feng took out another talisman and disappeared again. He glanced at Emperor Dong, noticing that his talisman had exploded off one of Emperor Dong's arms. A medium-level emperor lost his arm. The crowd shivered. Jin Chenjun and the others didn't feel like attacking Lin Feng anymore. Emperor Dong had been too careless. He wanted to kill Lin Feng, but then Qi Yinlei shouted and distracted him. He thought that he could cripple Lin Feng's cultivation with that attack. But Lin Feng had prepared a rather powerful talisman. Emperor Dong hadn't dodged because he hadn't thought that Lin Feng wouldn't attack him head-on like that. Then, he had tried to attack Lin Feng again, but Lin Feng was too fast and dodged. "You're a bunch of trash. You are emperors, but you can't even deal with him," shouted Qi Yinlei furiously. "Seal the area," shouted Qi Yinsheng. The emperors surrounded Lin Feng once more. Lin Feng glanced at them, and then jumped away without hesitation. Luckily, Celestial Summer Castle and the ancient Celestial Castle had sent so many emperors to help him. Besides, he also had his talismans to protect him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to do anything. Lin Feng moved towards Emperor Qi this time. Emperor Qi looked concerned. Even though he was stronger, he feared Lin Feng after what he did to his father's arms. If Lin Feng used a talisman to attack him, he'd die. While Emperor Qi hesitated, Lin Feng closed the gap between them. At the last moment, Emperor Qi suddenly moved away. "Piece of trash!" shouted Qi Yinsheng furiously. Emperor Qi was such a moron. Even if he didn't fight Lin Feng head-on, he could defend. Lin Feng threw two talismans at Emperor Qi as he ran away. Destructive energies quickly surrounded him, causing the empty space cage to shake violently. Qi Yinlei's deployment spell is quite powerful, thought Lin Feng. Surprisingly, he couldn't destroy it. At that moment, Emperor Dong and Qi Yinshao arrived in front of him. Qi Yinshao was shouting furiously. Then a gigantic empty space, golden hand moved towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng began to dodge, but Qi Yinsheng released more energies, and a curtain of empty space energies surrounded Lin Feng. "Break!" Lin Feng punched the curtain of light, breaking it apart. Lin Feng continued running away, but Emperor Dong appeared again. Using the hand, he still had to release cosmic energies. Emperor Dong didn't hesitate this time. He figured that Lin Feng probably had more talismans. As expected, Lin Feng took out another talisman, this one containing empty space strength. With it he disappeared. At the same time, outside of the cage, two silhouettes in black clothes finally broke through the cage, allowing Lin Feng to escape. "You think you can still escape?" shouted Emperor Dong. He was faster than Lin Feng, so he quickly caught up with him. But at the same time, a black silhouette moved in front of him and blocked him. Qi Yinsheng and the others followed Lin Feng, but 1,000 deadly punches launched out as Lin Feng continued running away. Qi Yinlei glanced at Lin Feng in a cold way and smiled. Did he think he could escape? Where to? At that moment, more people appeared in front of Lin Feng, forcing him to stop. They were even more terrifying than Emperor Dong. Not far away, Lin Feng noticed an Ai-Chun from Qingdi Mountain. Qingdi Mountain. Lin Feng looked at him in a cold way. With his strength, he couldn't escape anymore. There were too many emperors, and with Qingdi Mountain, he had no chance. Chapter 1609. Muyi's Methods. Emperor Ai-Chun glanced at the crowd. "Stop!" Emperor Ai-Chun yelled. Instantly, everybody stopped fighting. The cultivators in black clothes also stopped. Emperor Ai-Chun glanced at those people in black clothes and said, "I don't care who you are, just leave now." Emperor Ai-Chun didn't want to ruin the cohesion between the 9 great celestial castles, so he made them leave before they showed who they were. The cultivators in black clothes moved away. They knew they couldn't do much in front of Qingdi Mountain. After a short time, all the cultivators in black clothes disappeared. The emperors from Celestial Qi Castle and the Palace of Medicinal Kings were surrounding Lin Feng. What an army, thought the crowd speechless. Lin Feng glanced at the strong cultivators from Qingdi Mountain. He hadn't thought that Qingdi Mountain would get involved. He took out a talisman and suddenly, he reappeared 1,000 meters away. However, even as he did this, Qi was blocking him. How could he escape? Vines appeared around his body and constricted him. Lin Feng felt like coughing up blood as they strangled him. He released demonic Qi to try and resist. Does he still think he can escape? The crowd was speechless. Against all expectations, Lin Feng took out another talisman. However, a golden hand appeared and blocked him. Lin Feng. Yuan Fei clenched his fists and released bestial Qi. He was furious, but he couldn't do anything about it. Ban Ruo and the others felt the same. Their souls were sealed, but they still knew what they were feeling. They were too weak, so they couldn't break the seals on their souls. Lin Feng looked at Emperor Anai Chun and said, "Are you getting involved because of the tensions between you and Emperor Xinyu? Or is it because you are friends with Celestial Qi Castle? Perhaps it's because of my abilities when it comes to using deployment spells? I don't need to explain anything to you. Now cripple your own cultivation and leave. Otherwise you'll die," said Emperor Anai calmly. He didn't need to justify himself. He could do whatever he wanted with Lin Feng, and nobody could say a thing about it. Lin Feng didn't insist. If Emperor Anai Chun was that confident in his decision, then it meant he had already thought about Yaoyi Island. "Before I cripple my cultivation, you must fulfill your promise to Emperor Xinyu a competition. Where is your disciple?" asked Lin Feng to Emperor Anai Chun. "You're already dead, so the competition has become pointless. Just cripple your cultivation. I don't have time to waste with you. If you don't, they will," said Emperor Anai Chun indifferently. However, Lin Feng smiled and said, "Anai Chun, you're a coward. You asked for a competition and now you're scared. Emperor Xinyu is infinitely stronger than you." "That guy is insane," thought the crowd. But it didn't matter anymore. He was going to have to cripple his cultivation now. "If you want to cripple my cultivation, make them come. At least then I'll cripple 1 or 2 of their cultivations," said Lin Feng in a demonic voice. With that, he took out many talismans and smiled devilishly. Anai Chun couldn't attack Lin Feng himself because he was too strong, and his social status was too high. So instead he said, "Cripple his cultivation." Emperor Dong, Zhou Tianrua, Qi Yunsheng, and the emperors from the Palace of Medicinal Kings released their qi at the same time, surrounding Lin Feng. Arg! Yuan Fei turned into a gigantic ape after going insane from watching. Emperor Anai Chun turned his head and saw Yuan Fei. He was surprised. "He's in a frenzy." "Shut up." Master Mi appeared in the air above Yuan Fei, and lights penetrated Yuan Fei's eyes. Even if Yuan Fei was getting out of control, Master Mi could solve the issue. Qingdi Mountain and the 9 great celestial castles are bullying a little cultivator of the Zunqi layer. "How amazing," said someone at that moment. Did someone want to die? Someone appeared next to Lin Feng and looked at the crowd in a despising way. What a powerful army to fight against a cultivator of the 8th Zunqi layer. Hehe. Qingdi Mountain is amazing. No wonder they reign over the region, said Muyi mockingly. Qi Yunxiao smiled in a cold way and said, "Muyi, initially, we only wanted Lin Feng, but it seems that you want to bring about your own destruction." "Shut up. Who the fuck do you think you are to talk to me that way?" shouted Muyi furiously. Qi Yun shouted shut up. He was wondering if Muyi had a domineering social status. Lin Feng smiled wryly, thinking that he shouldn't have come. While everybody else was recovering from his rather sudden entrance, Muyi was talking to Lin Feng using telepathy. "Who are you, Your Excellency?" asked Emperor Anai Chen indifferently. Even if Muyi was there, Lin Feng was going to die. Muyi was just a medium-level emperor, so he couldn't change anything. "Open your eyes and you'll understand who I am," said Muyi in a cold way. Then a talisman appeared in his hand with a big word written on it. "Weapon! Weapon!" Emperor Anai Chen scrunched his eyebrows. He recognized that it was a fire talisman at least. "Your Excellency, which weapon manufacturing group are you from?" "Qingdi Mountain's people really are ignorant. Surprisingly, you don't even recognize my talisman. You little dog, watch and learn," said Muyi arrogant. He threw his talisman at Emperor Anai Chun, and Emperor Anai Chun grabbed the talisman. From what Muyi was saying, he seemed to belong to a very powerful group. Emperor Anichen looked at the talisman and tried to think of all the weapon manufacturing groups he knew of. Explode! Muyi yelled loudly. The talisman Emperor Anichen was holding suddenly released a special qi, causing Emperor Anichen's facial expression to change drastically. The weapon talisman exploded, and the qi surrounded Emperor Anichen. At the same time, Lin Feng also used a talisman which contained cosmic energies. The space around them changed completely, and the two of them disappeared. "Chase them!" shouted Qi Yunlei furiously. A group of people started chasing them, but Muyi was a medium-level emperor, so he was as fast as them. Let alone Lin Feng kept using talismans, widening the gap between them more and more. Chapter 1610. Sealing the exit. Qi Yunlei was the fastest one, whether by strength or determination. They had asked Qingdi Mountain to come to avoid any problems. Back then, when Emperor Qi told them that Master Muin was Lin Feng, he had asked Emperor Qi to transfer him some images of Lin Feng. After that he had realized that Lin Feng was also the one the Great Imperial Palace was looking for. At that moment, Lin Feng and Muyi were moving at full speed. Muyi knew that his talisman couldn't slow down Emperor Anichen for too long, so they had to hurry. If Emperor Anichen caught up with them, they'd be doomed. "Don't hesitate in using all the talismans you've got," said Muyi to Lin Feng. Lin Feng's entire body felt sore. He already knew he couldn't save any talismans at a time like this. "There." Lin Feng pointed at a direction. Lin Feng and Muyi flew above some ruins. At the same time, lights flooded the sky and empty space strength surrounded them. Then they disappeared. Teleportation deployment spell. They sensed the energies from very far away. "There." However, Lin Feng and Muyi used another deployment spell and disappeared again. Emperor Anichen chased them, but he soon stopped. "Where are they?" shouted Anichen furiously. He had lost them. Lin Feng kept using deployment spells. They couldn't stop Lin Feng and Muyi. "There, I guess," said Qi Yunshao, pointing in a direction. Emperor Anichen didn't have time to think, as he immediately continued chasing them. However, at that moment, a person in black appeared. He looked ordinary, and his wind abstruse energy looked weak, so nobody paid him any attention. After a short time, Emperor Anichen flew back looking furious. He couldn't even capture a cultivator of the Zunqi layer. If they didn't manage to capture them, what would everybody think of Qingdi Mountain? Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness, you go and seal the area. They can't escape, no matter what. Then, tell all the 9 great celestial castles, including yourselves, to seal the buffer zone as well. Nobody can leave the buffer zone now, said Emperor Anichen. Even if Lin Feng changed his face, he wouldn't be able to leave now. Hurry up. Guard the area. Nobody can leave, shouted Emperor Anichen after he saw that nobody reacted. I'm going to guard the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness's exit. I'm going to the palace of medicinal kings. I'm going to Celestial Qi Castle. People from the 3 groups hurriedly flew away with strong cultivators. Lin Feng and Muyi had changed their faces again, but they didn't run in the direction of the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness. This time they were running towards Celestial Summer Castle. How fast, thought Lin Feng. He wouldn't have thought that almost all the paths could be blocked before they escaped. During those 3 days, Lin Feng had cast teleportation deployment spells in many places where there weren't many people. Of course, without Muyi, he couldn't do much, but now things were beyond Lin Feng's calculations. What about the paths to the other 8 castles? Thought Lin Feng. He then immediately flew towards another city, but once he arrived, he realized that it was blocked too. He couldn't get out. Lin Feng frowned. All these areas were sealed. I can only wait again, thought Lin Feng, sighing. People kept flying above him, seemingly inspecting the crowd. Time passed, and people remained silent. They couldn't leave, but what could they do? Not much. Celestial Qi Castle didn't kill Yuan Fei at least. Lin Feng posed a threat, so he could come back for Yuan Fei another time, and then they'd regret killing him. Also, it was a humiliation for them to kill powerless people. Time passed, and on the 2nd day, people could leave. However, they had to queue. The rules were even stricter. People had to leave within 7 days, emptying the buffer zone completely. Lin Feng smiled. He had figured that was something they'd try. Within those 7 days, he'd be able to leave, even if it was troublesome. Lin Feng didn't leave immediately. Instead, he patiently waited in his room in the guest house. Emperor Anai Chun was guarding the exit to Celestial Qi Castle as he glanced around and checked everyone passing through. There were 9 exits in the buffer zone, and all of them were guarded by strong cultivators. They just had to wait for Lin Feng to show up. In the distance above Buzhou Mountain, a gigantic animal was flying madly through the air. Its cosmic energies would create hurricanes as it flew along. There was someone wearing red clothes riding the animal's back, a gigantic ape, and a bunch of other animals. They were all flying in the direction of the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness. Chapter 1611. Landing. Lin Feng had no chance to leave the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness's territory. At that moment, the gates were closely guarded by more than 10 emperors from the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness. A few days into this lockdown, a strong wind carrying dust and sand rose to the skies from the distance. It was terrifying as it seemed to be getting closer. What's that? One of the emperors gazed into the distance and was startled by what he saw. That wasn't a natural occurrence. There was a silhouette inside that hurricane. Master, there's a powerful bestial qi coming from over there, said a low-level emperor. The thick bestial qi was getting denser and nearer. It's a beast, a terrifying one at that, replied the medium-level emperor who was gazing into the distance. They were starting to get a better view of it as it got closer. It was a type of flying beast. Suddenly, the medium-level emperor rose up in the air and shouted, "What brings you to the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness?" Bzzz. A terrifying wind blew around him. The gigantic beast stopped, and then the emperors from the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness saw many beasts and humans resting on the back of the flying beast. Piss off! The flying beast was hundreds of meters long and was glancing at the crowd in a cold way. The medium-level emperor suddenly stopped moving and shivered. He realized that this beast could only be from Yaoyi Island. Yaoyi Island is here, realized the emperor, shaking. The beast suddenly disappeared from his field of vision and directly went to the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness. Something serious was about to happen. In the center of the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness, a terrifying black cloud appeared, causing many people to raise their heads and start shaking. It was a terrifying beast. Master, many people were standing behind a cultivator who was wearing a golden robe. They wanted to know what to do. This time, it's between the Qingdi Mountain and Yaoyi Island. We can only observe, said that person calmly. The Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness was only one of the 9 great celestial castles, so they couldn't deal with Yaoyi Island. After a short time, they arrived in front of a gate where people were being checked by guards. "Whom are you looking for?" asked a gigantic ape at that moment. He was black and looked as tall as a mountain. When he glanced around at the crowd, they felt as if they were paralyzed. The ape's voice was also extremely loud, resonating in the whole region. The strong cultivators from the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness looked astonished. They wanted to reply, but words wouldn't come out. Could they admit that they were looking for Lin Feng? Lin Feng was from Yaoyi Island, just like those beasts. "You came from so far to pay us a visit. It's our honor," said a medium-level emperor, smiling. His voice was febrile, and he wasn't done talking when the gigantic ape shouted furiously, "We are asking you who you're looking for." The strong cultivator's mouth twitched. He was terrified. "Brother Hey, he's ignoring you," said the beautiful woman in red clothes, smiling thinly. "Dear friends, we've been asked to look for Lin Feng," replied that person. "Arg!" The ape's energies erupted. "Let's go." A few emperors from the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness started running away, but the ape raised his gigantic hand and slapped the air. This simple slap was equivalent to mountains falling from the sky. "No!" A few strong cultivators shouted furiously. The ground quaked ferociously, and then several gigantic canyons appeared in the ground. The ape himself landed on the ground, causing another gigantic crater to form. On the other side, the mountains which fell from the sky landed on the slower emperors, turning them into stones. Dong dong. The ape continued running. Each of his steps gave birth to earthquakes. Even though he was heavy and slow, each of his steps were wide. The crowd started panicking, just that ape alone was terrifying. The beasts who were still on the back of the gigantic flying beast jumped and started flying above the buffer zone. Even though they didn't attack, the people on the ground were still terrified. "Lin Feng, little boy, come out!" shouted the ape extremely loudly. People's eardrums felt like they were going to explode after each syllable. "They're from Yaoyi Island and they're here for Lin Feng," thought the crowd. "Let's go back to the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness. We can't get involved any longer," said a strong cultivator at that moment. Everybody in his group agreed. Qingdi Mountain and Yaoyi Island could fight each other if they wanted to, but the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness wouldn't do anything against them. Lin Feng came out of his room and looked at the animals. Then he smiled in a resplendent way. His friends from Yaoyi Island were finally here. "Brother Lin Feng." Lin Feng raised his head and saw a familiar silhouette in red clothes. Lin Feng took off his mask, and Huyu immediately noticed him. She grabbed him and hugged him tightly. "Brother Lin Feng, I missed you so much," said Huyu smiling. Lin Feng smiled wryly and said, "Hello, Sister Huyu." Huyu enjoyed fooling around with Lin Feng before he left, and since he'd been gone, she'd been bored. "Who bullied you? Tell me and I'll go and settle accounts with them," said Huyu looking angry. "You're hugging him so tight he can't talk, let go of him," said Emperor Xinyu. He was speechless too. "You talk too much," said Huyu glancing at Xinyu. "Uncle Yu," said Lin Feng smiling. The ground crumbled beneath them as the gigantic ape hopped over. "Uncle Feng, Uncle Sure," said Lin Feng to all the animal emperors. Chapter 1612. Power and Influence. "Lin Feng, who wanted to kill you?" asked the stone ape. "The 9 great celestial castles, but the main perpetrators must be Qingdi Mountain," said Lin Feng. If Qingdi Mountain hadn't gotten involved, he would have escaped already. "Qingdi Mountain." Emperor Shenyu looked furious as he said, "Lin Feng, tell us the details." "All right." Lin Feng nodded and explained the tensions between him and Celestial Qi Castle, and then what had happened after Emperor Anichen appeared. "Arg!" The stone ape roared furiously, causing several buildings around them to explode. As soon as Lin Feng finished his story, the stone ape started running towards Celestial Qi Castle. The area became chaotic as people were running in all directions. Emperor Anichen finally sensed all those bestial energies at this time. Surprisingly, Yaoyi Island had come in this time. It wasn't only Emperor Xinyu, but many strong cultivators. People from Celestial Qi Castle frowned, fearing for their lives. The ground started shaking under their feet, and then canyons and fissures started forming in the ground around them. The sounds were getting scarier and scarier. Finally, a gigantic black silhouette appeared before them, a gigantic ape. "They're here," thought the crowd. Their hearts were pounding. The gigantic ape suddenly rose up in the air, suffocating everyone there. Emperor Anichen was there, but he remained motionless. Some of them raised their heads to see how tall the ape was, but he was so tall that they couldn't figure it out. There was also a wind beast resting on his back. Then Emperor Xinyu and a beautiful woman wearing red clothes appeared. Lin Feng was standing next to her. "Those who are not concerned can go piss off," shouted the gigantic stone ape. Instantly people started running away. Only Emperor Anichen and some of the strong cultivators from Qingdi Mountain stayed. "Brother Xinyu, why did you come with so many friends from Yaoyi Island?" asked Emperor Anichen in a cold way. "You're asking me? Brother, sure, you tell him," said Emperor Xinyu, also in a cold way. The ape roared furiously and released cosmic energies, which turned into a gigantic stone, crashing towards the ground like a gigantic meteorite. The gigantic ape suddenly started charging. "Stop!" yelled Emperor Anichen. His facial expression changed drastically. The ape ignored him, and the gigantic stone continued to fall from the sky, oppressing everything beneath it. Emperor Anichen looked furious at this point. He jumped forwards and suddenly, a terrifying light shot out and countless golden lights appeared. The gigantic mountain broke apart and turned into a myriad of small stones. Emperor Enai Chen controls two different types of cosmic energies. Thought Lin Feng, empty space and golden cosmic energies. He was thus stronger than an emperor, who controlled only one type of cosmic energy. Brother, if you want to say something, talk with words, said Emperor Enai Chen to the stone ape coldly. First, I'll slaughter someone from Qingdi Mountain and then we'll talk. Lin Feng, whom should I slaughter? Asked Emperor Xinyu to Lin Feng. Lin Feng was surprised, but since Emperor Xinyu was asking him, Lin Feng wasn't going to refuse the offer. Emperor Enai Chen looked furious as he said, "You're not scared about things getting out of control? You're from Qingdi Mountain, but you gave one of my people the order to cripple his own cultivation. Weren't you afraid that things could get serious when you did that? Should Yaoyi Island be afraid?" asked Xinyu. Then he said to Lin Feng, "Did you choose someone?" Lin Feng glanced at the people from Celestial Qi Castle. There were so many people he wanted to kill. Since I have to choose someone from Qingdi Mountain, I have to choose someone who's also from Celestial Qi Castle, thought Lin Feng. Finally, he looked at someone, and that person instantly filled with regret. Qi Yunsheng. He was an important member from Celestial Qi Castle, and at the same time, he was also a cultivator from Qingdi Mountain. Kill him, said Lin Feng pointing at Qi Yunsheng. Emperor Enai Chen, said Qi Yunsheng to Emperor Enai Chen. He wanted Emperor Enai Chen to save him. The gigantic stone ape raised his hand and punched the air in Qi Yunsheng's direction. Emperor Enai Chen looked upset, but he performed some hand seals, and golden lights appeared. Then explosions sounded, and the golden lights disappeared. Emperor Enai Chen raised his hands again, and a golden shield appeared, moving to block the fist. However, as they collided, the wind beast moved too, because he controlled pure wind cosmic energy. Few people could compete with him in terms of speed. No. The crowd only heard Qi Yunsheng shout furiously. A strong wind brushed against his body, and he couldn't open his eyes anymore. When the crowd could see clearly again, Qi Yunsheng was in the air. The wind beast was holding him in his claws. "Master Enai Chen, save me!" shouted Qi Yunsheng. He looked terrified. Enai Chen raised his head. He wanted to say something, but suddenly, Qi Yunsheng's body was torn to shreds. He was an emperor, but he was so weak, thought Lin Feng. "Xinyu," said Emperor Enai Chen. People from Yaoyi Island had killed a cultivator from Qingdi Mountain in front of him. Thus they weren't giving him any face. "Are you angry? Who do you think you are to shout at me angrily?" shouted Emperor Xinyu. "Now we have to talk seriously. How many people got involved in chasing my disciple?" said Emperor Xinyu, glancing at the people from Celestial Qi Castle. Chapter 1613. Afraid to fight? Talk. Emperor Enai Chen was baffled. In the world of emperors, talking meant nothing. Strength was all that mattered. People from Celestial Qi Castle, the Palace of Medicinal Kings, and the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness tried to kill my disciple, Lin Feng. They resorted to various methods to bully him. "Now, if we want to settle accounts with them, we can," said Emperor Xinyu. "You have a high status within Qingdi Mountain, and you wanted to kill my disciple. You even asked people from the 9 great celestial castles to kill him. Enai Chen, I hope you have a good excuse, otherwise, things will get far worse for you." The strong cultivators from Qingdi Mountain looked furious. Xinyu was threatening them. He was telling them that Yaoyi Island had the right to attack Qingdi Mountain if they wanted to. At that moment, Qi Yunlei rose up in the air and flew next to Emperor Enai Chen. Then he said to Xinyu, "Do you want to know who tried to capture Lin Feng?" Xinyu frowned and asked, "Did anyone else get involved?" "I'm from the Everlasting Palace," said Qi Yunlei in a cold way. Everlasting Palace? Lin Feng's eyes flashed with insight for a second. He remembered that Qi Yunlei had shouted that they couldn't kill Lin Feng after Emperor Dong tried to kill him. He hadn't thought that the Everlasting Palace would want to capture him. It's him, the great emperor in cyan clothes. Lin Feng remembered. There was only one reason. The great emperor in cyan clothes had realized that the everlasting celestial emperor had probably transmitted his knowledge to Lin Feng. So he had ordered the Everlasting Palace to capture Lin Feng. That was the only reason why Qi Yunlei wanted to capture him alive. Shenyu, do you know what you're doing? Asked Enaichen. So it's the Everlasting Palace. Huyu slowly walked to Qi Yunlei and smiled. Suddenly her red robe fluttered in the wind as she flew forwards with incredible speed. Qi Yunlei wanted to dodge, but Huyu managed to grab him. Break! Shouted Qi Yunlei, furiously releasing sharp sword cosmic energies. Can you break free though? Said Huyu smiling. Qi Yunlei could feel his blood dripping down his side. In a flash he lost an arm. No, what are you doing? Qi Yunlei looked terrified. She was modifying his blood. I want your flesh and blood. She suddenly threw Qi Yunlei to the ground violently. Qi Yunlei couldn't fight back as his blood was strangely changing. I'm from the Everlasting Palace, shouted Qi Yunlei. However, Huyu just smiled and looked at him. The Everlasting Palace doesn't want someone whose cultivation has been crippled. What are you doing? Qi Yunlei stammered. Huyu's smile invoked a primal fear in him. His flesh was falling apart, and his blood was rotting. His veins started breaking apart too. She was going to cripple his cultivation. Master, no. Qi Yunlei finally realized what was going on. Am I that old? You should call me Queen, said Huyu giggling. Queen, let me go. Qi Yunlei begged her. He knew that if she crippled his cultivation, neither the Everlasting Palace nor Celestial Qi Castle would want him anymore. That'd be a fate worse than death. I didn't think the Everlasting Palace could have such trash, said Huyu. The other cultivators from Qingdi Mountain and Celestial Qi Castle looked terrified. Enaichen hadn't thought the cultivators from Yaoyi Island could be so insane. Qi Yunlei even said that he was from the Everlasting Palace. But Huyu still didn't care. Shenyu didn't even frown. He just looked at Enaichen and said, how could the Everlasting Palace have such trash? I think he was bluffing. He must have only been a cultivator from Celestial Qi Castle. You're only humiliating the Everlasting Palace by saying that. Besides, even if he were from the Everlasting Palace, so what? Since when has Qingdi Mountain been a subgroup of the Everlasting Palace? We are not a subgroup of any other group, said Enaichen in a cold way. Since you're not a subgroup of the Everlasting Palace, why would you want to capture Lin Feng? It's the Everlasting Palace who wants to capture Lin Feng. Are you trying to rise by helping the Everlasting Palace capture disciples from Yaoyi Island? Said Shenyu. Now people from Celestial Qi Castle piss off. It's between Qingdi Mountain and Yaoyi Island, of course. If you want to help Qingdi Mountain, I don't mind. After Shenyu said that, the wind beast started blowing insanely towards the people from Qingdi Mountain. Where are all the leaders of the 9 great celestial castles? Have they disappeared? Shouted Enaichen. People from the 9 great celestial castles looked scared. If the leaders of the 9 great celestial castles helped fight against Yaoyi Island, they could oppress them. However, who was willing to offend Yaoyi Island? If they didn't come though, then Qingdi Mountain would be offended. They had a dilemma, but the choice was obvious. Even if they offended Qingdi Mountain, it was less concerning, because they lived in the same territory. Qingdi Mountain might reproach them, but they couldn't annihilate them. However, if they offended Yaoyi Island, those beasts would attack them, leaving no survivors. Celestial Qi Castle was already gone. They didn't understand why Yaoyi Island was doing so much for Lin Feng. But they weren't going to stick around to find out. If Emperor Shenyu was the only one, that wouldn't have been a problem. But so many cultivators had come for him. Shenyu, do you really want to start a war between Qingdi Mountain and Yaoyi Island? Asked Emperor Enaichen. Enaichen, don't think too highly of yourself. Maybe you're the only one involved, or perhaps Qingdi Mountain is involved. But since you attacked our disciple, we are not afraid of anything. Now those from Qingdi Mountain who had attempted to kill our disciple must die, said Shenyu. Arg! The gigantic ape jumped, making the ground explode beneath him. His gigantic hand descended from the sky. We'll remember this, shouted Emperor Enaichen. Then, he rose up in the air with someone, and their silhouettes flickered. The wind beast wanted to chase them, but Shenyu said, forget it, Enaichen controls empty space and gold cosmic energies. He's too fast and strong. Even if we catch up with him, we can't kill him. Let him go. We'll just kill all of Qingdi Mountain's cultivators who are still here. Brother Feng, let's have some fun too, said Hu Yu to Lin Feng. Suddenly, she landed in front of an emperor from Qingdi Mountain, stretched out her slender white hand, and blood appeared. The emperor sensed he was losing control over his blood, just like the other emperor. Suddenly he looked horrified. Brother Feng, forget about me being so brutal, said Hu Yu, smiling gently. Blood continued splashing around her, until the emperor turned into a rotten corpse and died. That's what happens when there's a huge difference between cultivation levels, thought Lin Feng. After breaking through to the Huangqi layer, Lin Feng would also understand that even at the same level, there could still be gigantic differences between cultivators. That was already the case for him with people of the same level. People from Celestial Qi Castle, who were now in the distance, looked terrified. Yaoyi Island didn't fear fighting Qingdi Mountain. It's better to offend Qingdi Mountain, and not Yaoyi Island, they reminded themselves. The 9 castles considered Qingdi Mountain's cultivators strong, but against cultivators from Yaoyi Island, they seemed so weak. Chapter 1614. Breaking the seals amongst people Emperor Anai Chun had brought from Qiding Mountain. Some of them managed to escape, such as Qi Yu Chun, who had left with Celestial Qi Castle. He wasn't only a cultivator from Qingdi Mountain, he was originally from Celestial Qi Castle. Besides, he was a Zun cultivator, so Emperor Anai Chun wouldn't blame him. Emperors from Yaoyi Island, you said it was between Lin Feng and Celestial Qi Castle. But he offended us first, said Qi Yin Xiao politely. Who the hell do you think you are to talk to us like that? Yelled Shen Yu. No one from Celestial Qi Castle could say anything to Yaoyi Island, as they belonged to 2 completely different worlds. They were acting ridiculous. Qi Yin Zhao's body felt completely rigid as he realized his mistake. Lin Feng, what do you think? Asked Shen Yu. Lin Feng was thinking, Yaoyi Island had already offended Qingdi Mountain, and now if they offended the 9 great celestial castles, things would get even more serious. After all, if Yaoyi Island attacked Celestial Qi Castle, the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness and the Palace of Medicinal Kings would also get involved. 3 large groups like that might oppress Yaoyi Island. Besides, Lin Feng also understood that Yaoyi Island wasn't his group, and it wasn't Shen Yu's group either. Sometimes he had to rely on himself. You can't get involved. Celestial Qi Castle and the Palace of Medicinal Kings are my enemies, said Lin Feng. Though I want one person to die. Qi Yin Xiao and the others all looked upset when they realized who he was talking about. They glanced at Master Mi. Oh no, Master Mi can't die. Master Mi had an incredible status within Celestial Qi Castle. He controlled a large number of their forces, so who knew what would happen if he died? Even if you kill me, your friends will never break free from my seal, never, said Master Mi. He was wearing a mask, but Lin Feng knew he was looking at him. So what should I do then? Asked Lin Feng. If you don't kill me, I'll break their seals myself, said Master Mi. Lin Feng smiled in a cold way. He had been waiting for this for a long time. Even if they didn't attack Celestial Qi Castle, Yuan Fei and the others had to be released. Bring them here and break their seals in front of me, said Lin Feng. All right, I'll have them come over. Master Mi closed his eyes and called them. He was connected to them through their minds thanks to the seals. After a short time, a medium-level emperor brought Yuan Fei and the others over. You better think carefully and not leave anything dodgy in their brains, said Hu Yu, smiling devilishly. Master Mi nodded as he landed in front of Yuan Fei. Then a light penetrated Yuan Fei's godly awareness. Master Mi knew that even high-level emperors couldn't break those seals. He was the only one who knew the code. With that, Master Mi slowly broke the seal. Arg! Yuan Fei shouted furiously, looking insane. He was fixedly staring at Master Mi. Suddenly, he raised his fist and punched the air in Master Mi's direction. He had come back to his senses and immediately started swinging. Stop! Shouted Master Mi, blocking Yuan Fei's attack. I broke your seal, so now you're free. Yuan Fei glared at him for a moment. Then he recalled his qi. Arg! Another shout sounded. A silhouette rose up in the air and shouted, Yuan Fei. Lin Feng turned around and noticed someone. Then he looked delighted. It was the Great Ape Emperor. He had been staying in the region, but he wasn't strong enough to save Yuan Fei. When he saw that Yuan Fei was freed, he showed up again. This time he was so happy. Arg! The stone ape shouted furiously. Yuan Fei was an ape like him. In Yaoyi Island, there were many apes. He was a stone ape. Then there was the Great Earth Demon Ape. But they didn't know what kind of ape Yuan Fei was yet. The apes gathered and smiled. Then, the Great Ape Emperor and Yuan Fei walked over to Lin Feng. Lin Feng, thank you, said the Great Ape Emperor. He looked at Xun Yu and the others and said, Thank you, masters. I wouldn't have thought that you'd be the same type as me. Yaoyi Island is a good place for you. Apart from the stone ape, there's also a Great Earth Demon Ape, so you won't feel lonely, said Xun Yu smiling. Yaoyi Island. The Great Ape Emperor looked happy and nodded. Thank you, Master, for accepting us. There are millions of islands in Yaoyi Island, all of them filled with different animals. There's no need to thank me. I'm just accepting one of my own, said Xun Yu. Master Mi also broke Ban Rua and the other seals. Ban Rua and the others came back to their senses looking very upset. They had been controlled for quite a while. Their heads were heavy, and they felt guilty. Luckily Lin Feng was a true friend. Are you all right? Asked Lin Feng to Ban Rua and the others. They all bumped fists and smiled happily. You should be thankful. Celestial Qi Castle took care of you, and they even healed Xingzhan's leg. Don't worry about the rest. Indeed, we are grateful, said Xingzhan smiling. Without Celestial Qi Castle, his leg wouldn't have been healed as it was now. Besides, they had become stronger during that time. Celestial Qi Castle had them practice constantly. Lin Feng, should we settle accounts with the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness and the Palace of Medicinal Kings? Asked Xun Yu to Lin Feng. Uncle Yu, let's go back to Yaoyi Island, said Lin Feng. He didn't intend to fight against them now. If he had the choice, he would have done everything without Yaoyi Island. Because of him, Yaoyi Island had already offended Qingdi Mountain, and there was an even more dangerous group, the Everlasting Palace, to worry about. Apart from Qi Yinlei, nobody else from the Everlasting Palace had appeared yet. Lin Feng figured that Qi Yinlei probably wanted to capture Lin Feng alone, and then go back to the Everlasting Palace to improve his status. Lin Feng also thought that Qi Yinlei didn't know that Lin Feng knew the 1,000 great deployment spells. Otherwise, the Great Emperor in cyan clothes wouldn't have let a stupid cultivator like Qi Yinlei try to capture him. All right, said Xun Yu, nodding. Then he raised his hands as to tell everyone that they were going back. Arg! The stone ape shouted at the people from Celestial Qi Castle. He attacked in their direction again. Then he turned around and left. His steps made extremely loud sounds, causing the ground to shake. Everybody ran away, and nobody prevented them from passing. Lin Feng, how did you end up in such a situation? Asked Xun Yu to Lin Feng. Now they were on the back of the wind beast. I hadn't thought that a disciple from Celestial Qi Castle, who was also a member of the Everlasting Palace, would come back and uncover my real identity. You should tell me when you're doing such things, then you won't have to take such risks. Lin Feng smiled wryly and shook his head. He had problems with the 9 great celestial castles. But those things had nothing to do with Yaoyi Island, and he wanted it to stay that way if he could help it. Even if he had known that Qingdi Mountain would get involved, he still wouldn't have told Emperor Xun Yu. Lin Feng. Someone rose in the air next to him. Lin Feng smiled and said to the wind beast, Uncle Feng, that's my friend. Let him come. The wind beast slowed down and allowed Mui to jump on his back. He smiled at Lin Feng and said, Lin Feng, we're safe. Thank you, Master Mui, for helping me. They could have killed me before if you hadn't helped. I wouldn't have had time to inform Yaoyi Island then, said Lin Feng smiling. Master Mui, come with me to Yaoyi Island. We can continue studying deployment spells there. Mui glanced at Xun Yu, and Xun Yu looked at him and said, Lin Feng's friends are also friends of Yaoyi Island. Thank you, Master. I'm alone, so I will try not to disturb too much, said Mui. He was happy to go to Yaoyi Island. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.